I should be so happy that it's a Monday in the upstate. The weather is beautiful, but Cole, I'm going to be real with you. I am bummed. Bummed as can be today.
I didn't know that.
Today is the end of all great sports for months. You know why? College World Series will end tonight.
Yeah.
The NHL Stanley Cup Finals will end tonight. There will be no major sports until football, and that's a long way away.
But it's talking season, though.
It is talking season, but we got no
said.
sports to watch for months, except for a couple of majors and some golf and some NASCAR, a little here, a little there. But
some Olympics.
You know, like I'm excited for tonight. Tonight, I don't know what I'm going to watch, Cole. I'm going to have to do the 2-screen setup at the house in the living room because NHL Stanley Cup Finals Game 7, that is pure hype. That is as good as it gets in sports, right? Like, I don't know what the opposite of a 4-letter word is. That's it, right? That is tippy top. Game 7 NHL Finals, and we've got Game 3 College World Series Finals. I'm stoked, man.
Let me ask you this though, just to start off, if you had to pick one tonight, which one would you? Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
You didn't give me a chance to think about it. Just off the top of my head.
Bam, baby.
It's going to be baseball. It's going to be College World Series Game 3, Texas A&M, Tennessee. We've had 2 phenomenal baseball games that went vastly differently from one another. But then you're telling me I got to miss out on Stanley Cup Finals Game 7? Come on.
So I'll tell you this. You may be surprised by this, but I was not into Diesel, the 2 games this weekend, as much as I thought I would be.
Y'all doing some stand-up paddleboarding again?
No, I was not doing any kind of strenuous activities this time. I watched the game on Saturday, and I don't know why. I'm not trying to be Debbie Downer and complain about this, but why are they so long?
And who is the DA? I almost used the long form of that. Sorry, my mama told me not to do that on the radio. But who is the DA who scheduled CWS Game 3 and NHL Finals Game 7 on the same day?
Well, every freaking college national championship is on a Monday, right?
Why?
Basketball,
Stop
football.
doing this.
It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
I know why they do it, because they want the prime time. They want those numbers. They want to get all the ratings up there. But, man, it sucks for the fans, right? It makes us have to choose. I don't like it. Do the Atlanta Braves play tonight? Or they do play tonight. So, man, there's so much going on.
Yeah.
The Atlanta Braves take on the Cardinals tonight. 39-37 for the Cardinals, 43-32 for the Braves. But opening the show today, Cole, let's get into the College World Series Game 1 and 2 reactions, Game 3 predictions. We already got Coach 'em Up on the stream saying go Vols. P. Digit says Finkel is Einhorn. CWS is what I'm looking forward to. Also, house divided game tonight with Braves visiting the Cardinals. Coach 'em Up says go Vols. The numbers right now, the money is favoring Tennessee, but I don't know. The way Texas A&M splattered that ball all over the field on Saturday, you got to feel good about it. It gives me a little worry if I'm a Tennessee fan. So let's go through this. Game 1, Texas A&M 9, Tennessee 5. The attendance for that game, absolutely phenomenal, as it was for Sunday's game. I don't know exactly what Sunday's attendance was, but I got Saturday's right here in front of me, Cole. 26,495. Think about that. That is more than James Madison's season attendance average in 2023. And they were a top 25 football program for a while.
Diesel taking shots at JMU today.
No, I'm not taking shots at JMU. I'm saying, look how great the attendance is in Omaha. People take it seriously.
They do, I think the majority of the fan base comes out, man.
It would be me taking a shot saying that App State's was higher.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah, it was. It was like 35,000, which, all you guys wearing garnet and black and orange and purple are like 35,000. Big deal. Big whoop. Still, you can only fill the stadium that you got. Anyway, I digress. Game 1, pretty even baseball game.
Yeah.
13 hits for Texas A&M, 12 hits for Tennessee, 2 home runs apiece. Both of these teams getting a lot of runners on base, and that was true for both of those games, Cole. Games 1 and 2, leaving a lot of runners on base. So if the bats could have been just a little bit hotter at the right times, these could have been 15 to 10, 15 to 12 type of ball games.
The over did hit, though, in game one.
Hit in game one.
9-5.
9-5, yep. Let's see. Again, Tennessee stranded 8 runners. Texas A&M stranded 10 runners. A&M scored 2 in the first, 5 in the third, 2 in the seventh in that ball game, man. They were just pouring it on them. Tennessee 1 in the second and third, 3 in the seventh with a 2-run home run and a solo home run later on. Evan Aschenbeck closed out the game with 7 Ks. I don't know the rules in college baseball as to like pitching and can they throw you back out there if they can. I mean, obviously this is the last game. You can't hold anything back. You throw the kitchen sink at the other team.
Yeah.
But just a phenomenal baseball game there in game number 1.
You know, I kind of felt like that game. I know this term's cliche a lot, Diesel. We say this a lot, but I almost felt like game 1 for A&M was a serious must-win game.
Sure.
I just didn't feel like if you told me Tennessee wins on Saturday and then they turn around and play on Sunday, I'd have said, man, there's a good chance that series goes 2 games and 2 games only. Really, I mean, A&M's a good team. A&M hit the ball phenomenal on Saturday, but I just felt like the pressure was on them. And guess what? They lived up to the expectations. Mm-hmm. They ate the pressure like candy on Saturday. And I was impressed. I picked Tennessee to win the whole thing, still riding with the Vols. However, what A&M did Saturday was really impressive. And let's be honest, they played good yesterday too. Just late in the game, it got away from them, you know?
Yeah, I picked Florida State to win the whole thing, but since they're not in anymore, I'm sticking with the Maroon. I'm going Texas A&M. But, Cole, this is something that bugs me. It bugged me last year. If I had seen it before then, it would have bugged me before then, but it bugged me mostly on Saturday. What is the deal with Texas A&M's Saturday unis that just say Texas Aggies across the top? Those jerseys, they need to be burned. They don't need to be retired. They need to be burned. Look, I try to stay as far away from those cultists as possible, but you know, I can imagine that the Texas A&M Texas rivalry is every bit as heated as the Clemson South Carolina rivalry. So why would you have your rival's name written across your chest? Big old letters, Texas underneath Aggies. You're not the Texas Aggies. You're the Texas A&M Aggies.
Well, I like them. Somewhere in small print, though, even very small, 12-point font, it needs to say A&M. Right in the middle. Right in the middle. Above Aggies.
Like, I know there's got to be some sort of history behind that. Like,
yeah,
you
but
know,
it looks,
I know they call themselves like Fighting Texas Ags or
whatever. It
looks
like a misprint, man.
Right, but you're not the Texas Ags.
No, I don't like it at all.
Yeah,
it's not a big fan.
It's horrible. I mean, could you imagine if Clemson baseball jerseys said Clemson in big letters and then that little swoosh that goes underneath it said South Carolina underneath it?
It'd be bad.
Tiger fans would have a huge problem with that. And then imagine if it was reversed, right? If you I don't know, for some reason called yourselves the South Carolina Tigers in 1902, and so you went with that as your jerseys. It's dumb. It's awful. A&M, you got to get that figured out. You got to get a lot of things figured out because y'all got mental problems. Have you ever been to a Texas to an A&M Aggie yell?
No.
It's weird, dude. It's weird. I went to the year, this would have been 2019 or so when A&M played at Clemson. I went to Midnight Yell the night before, and they held it down in Simpsonville.
Okay.
At what's the high school there in Simpsonville?
There's a bunch.
Right there along the Hillcrest. Yeah, they held it at Hillcrest. And, I wanted to go see, point and laugh at these weirdos. And it's a bunch of sweaty Ken dolls wearing overalls with patches on their butts, and they tell bad jokes. And the person I went with had been to one or two of these things before. And they said, guess what? They've told that exact same story, that exact same joke about 1 million times, right? They recycle that story everywhere they go. So these cultists, these weirdos, these sweaty, shiny dudes out there telling bad jokes. Texas A&M's got a lot more problems than just their uniforms, but that seems like a no-brainer right there to fix. Game 2 on Sunday. This one was complete opposite. I know Coach 'em Up was into this one. Tennessee 4, A&M 1. Even on the hits, 7-7, just a completely different kind of game with the number of hits in game 1 and game 2. Tennessee hit 2 homers. A&M hit 1. and they both stranded a lot of runners again. So you're seeing a lot of offense getting on base, but not a lot of bringing them around. And that, to me, was what sunk A&M in the back half of that game. Sure, Tennessee was getting runners on base as well, and A&M was getting out of jams. But A&M, when you're playing from behind, they hit a solo home run in the first inning of that game, and then Tennessee poured it on after that.
Late in the game.
A&M had runners on base. And I remember seeing in the 6th inning, and I think again in the 8th, or maybe it was even the 9th, when they had 2 runners on base and they were leaving 2 runners stranded every bottom half of that inning. And I'm like, you guys are not going to win these games.
Yeah.
You're not going to win this game.
I think there's a level of respect and fear with Tennessee that when teams have to play them, and I've seen this down the stretch, especially this postseason, but there's a level of like fear/urgency with Tennessee that if you don't knock them out, if you don't do what you did to them on Saturday, if you don't go up by a few runs, man, you're dead in the water. Like, this team is just too good to let hang around. And that's the difference in the 2 games, right? On Saturday, A&M pounced on them. They scored 9 runs. I don't care who you're playing. They scored 9 runs, Diesel. You got a good chance to win the ball game, right? Saturday, good shape. Sunday, quite opposite. Pitching was phenomenal for A&M yesterday, outside of one bad inning, right? But the bats, when you let Tennessee hang around, when it's 1-0, it's like those guys are in the dugout just chomping at the bit. They're too good of a team. We said it last week. They've only lost 12, 13 games all season, all regular season. They're just too dominant of a team to let hang around. And that's another thing going into tonight's game we'll get into. You got to pounce on them early.
Yeah, they were somewhere in the range of, I think, 7-2 on the season when they played 1-run ball games, Tennessee was. So Tennessee, they'll give up 1, and then they'll shut you down for the rest of the game and find ways to score as things go along. I got to give a special shout out in game 2, Cole, to Tennessee's pitcher, number 28, Aaron Combs. That dude had a nasty slider going on with a lot of big break late. It didn't look like a curveball. It looked more like a slider that was staying pretty flat on its plane, but then it had a lot of really late movement. He pitched 4 innings, gave up 0 runs. He got the win. Special shout out to Tennessee's Cal Stark. He'd gone 0 for 16 in Omaha before a 2-run home run. That's the one that put the Vols up 4-1 in that ball game. And then, of course, there's a couple more plays that you look at in that game that Tennessee could have busted it wide open if it weren't for Caden Kent, A&M's second baseman. He fielded that ground ball with his glove and flipped it to the first baseman from his glove. I mean, I don't ever remember in all my years playing baseball ever practicing a play like that, right? The goal was always to get it out of your glove and get it to the first baseman with your throwing hand. That could have gone horribly wrong, put up another couple of runs for Tennessee, but it was just a phenomenal play for him. And then, of course, he was lights out in the first game, 3 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBIs in that first game. But, Cole, here we go. Game 3 tonight, 7:00 first pitch. Xander Sechrist going to get the start for Tennessee. He's 5-2 on the season with a 3.22 ERA. Justin Lamkin for A&M on the bump, 3-2 on the season with a 5.00 ERA. Tennessee's starting pitching is going to be huge in this. So A&M has to, if they want to have a chance to win this game, they got to put up 3 before the 3rd inning at least.
You kind of feel like tonight, with Tennessee being, I don't want this to come across like A&M doesn't deserve to be there, but with Tennessee being the more dominant team throughout the regular season, with Tennessee being the better team on paper, Tennessee, I agree with you, their edge tonight is the pitching staff, but I'll tell you this, A&M almost has to feel like this is a 6-inning game. I really mean that. Like, if you're A&M tonight, and I don't mean forget about the last 3 innings, but if you're A&M tonight, you've got to treat this like a 6-inning game where your goal is to get as many runs as you can, put pressure on Tennessee, get the pitch count up for Tennessee. You really, really have to have good at-bats tonight and try to get that pitch count up. Listen, I like A&M's chances, but Tennessee's just so dominant in so many different areas. It does scare me. If Tennessee gets a lead early, if it's Tennessee that goes up early, Diesel, I think this game could get out of hand. I really do. If Tennessee had a 3 or 4 run lead in the first few innings, this game could be over.
I need to know from Coach him up if he has called up the bar in Omaha and purchased any Jell-O shots because as of the last update that they put on Twitter, which was 24 hours ago, more than 24 hours ago, A&M is leading the Jell-O shot challenge, Cole, at Rocco's. 27,422 to 27,004. So we're going to see if we can get an update on that shot challenge as we get deeper into the show. As of last time I looked, they hadn't quite updated that, but A&M had come from behind, Cole, and they have taken the lead. Would you be willing to donate money, which is essentially donating money to a charity, right? All of this money goes, not all of it, but a lot of this money goes to local food banks.
Yeah.
So it's all going to a good cause. But would you be willing, if your team was in the College World Series, Cole, would Cole Bryson be calling up Rocco's and ordering a tray of 100 Jell-O shots?
No. There's nothing in it for me.
Not at all.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. I get that it's going to charity, but guess what? If I want to give to a charity, I can find many charities to give to online, right?
Coach him up said, nah, we're all sober in Blacksburg, South Carolina. Can you confirm? You're from Spartanburg County.
I'm not going to do Blacksburg like that.
Okay. So you're not going to call out Blacksburg for, having a pop every now and again?
He says we're all sober.
I don't believe
Coach,
you.
I know better than that now.
I don't believe you.
Madcraft says, can you believe LSU bought 68,000 of them? Jell-O
do you
shots?
think they actually made 68,000 Jell-O shots, or do you think they just took a donation and said, all right, this is going to be, a stand-in. This $5 is a stand-in for a Jell-O shot. Or did they have to make all 68,000 of them?
Surely not, right? Surely they'd have some sort of pre-pack.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot.
The hospitals would be overflowing with liver failure in Omaha, Nebraska. They couldn't handle the amount of people coming in there if somebody had to consume all of those Jell-O shots. No, but if my team was there, Cole, I'd probably call up and order 10 of them.
Really?
$50 donation to a cause because my team is in there. I would be so geeked. You wouldn't even be able to talk to me on the show if App State was in the College World Series,
so
which will never be.
A&M is plus 108 tonight on the run line. Tennessee is minus 1.5, minus 140 on the run line. As far as the money line goes, Tennessee's minus 260. Pretty expensive. That's a pretty expensive price for me looking at Tennessee. Like if I were to put cheese on it, if I were to put something on the game tonight, A&M plus 196 isn't a bad price. Tennessee minus 260 is a little too steep of a price for me. The over-under is 10.5. Over is minus 108. The under is minus 122. So Vegas does think it will go over just by a hair. But I'll be honest with you. If I were to play this tonight, I think I would take Tennessee in the run line, minus 1.5, which means they would have to win by 2 or more. I think Tennessee wins 6-4 tonight, Diesel. I think they take care of business. A&M does scrap. They're too good of a team, right? They're going to get their runs. I just think I think Tennessee holds them down enough, and I'm going to go 6-4.
Okay, so I do have a live update for you. They posted this between the last time I looked and just now. Tennessee has retaken the lead by about 3,000 Jell-O shots. Come on. All that Texas oil money in and around College Station. There's nobody coming in and buying like 1 million Jell-O shots just to make this thing so ludicrous and unreachable. Everybody talked about LSU, what they did last year in this challenge, right? Where's that oil money at?
Here's what's wild. This statistic I was looking at. You think if Tennessee, Diesel, if Tennessee would have been capitalizing all weekend, this series would be over. I mean, it would be over. There would be no game 3. So listen to this. Tennessee was 2 for 19 with runners on in game 2 after going 6 for 19 in game 1. Tennessee's also a combined 3 for 21 with runners in scoring position in the 2 games. So look, Tennessee's getting guys on, but they're not capitalizing, and that just goes to show if they were hitting the ball a little bit better, like I said, this thing would be over. They're getting guys on, and I just think that at some point tonight, I'm not saying Tennessee just busted open or anything like that. Like I said, I like them to win by 2 or 3 runs. I think it'll be close for the majority, but I do like Tennessee to win tonight. Before we hit a break, you like A&M tonight?
I do like I this is a 50-50 toss-up game for me. I mean, I don't want to be that fence rider. I mean, I'm going to ride with A&M because I picked them early on. They showed obviously in game one that if those bats get hot, they are a scary baseball team. But just like you said, both these teams have been leaving runners in scoring position and leaving runners on base all series long. We could have football scores on our hands if they were actually able to bring these teams around. So, look, if you've been on the fence about college baseball and you've never really given it a whole lot of time, you need to tune in and watch this, okay? You've got something for everybody in these types of games. They are putting runners on, and then you're seeing phenomenal defense and phenomenal pitching. So you're seeing it all.
Listen, I don't know what the YouTube TV situation will be tonight. I believe is the NHL game on ESPN and then this one's on ESPN2? Or I'm just trying to think if the multi-view will be an option or will I have to flip back and forth. So Oilers-Panthers is ABC. Oh, Oilers-Panthers is ABC, and then A&M Tennessee's ESPN. So they should be on the multi-view for YouTube TV.
I don't have that.
Well,
I don't have that. I'm going to have to do the old-fashioned back and forth.
Well, you might have to back and forth for a little while.
Stupid Roku.
You can text the show 71307. Start your message. Start your text with the word fan. JT and Greer says, how about the Braves taking 2 of 3 from the mighty Yanks? Well, JT, guess what, buddy? Good segue. We're coming to the Braves in the very next segment. They did take 2 of 3 from the Yankees, and all things in Atlanta are trending up.
Excellent Cole Bryson on the land of state.
So as JT and Greer pointed out on the text line, the Braves did take 2 of 3 from the Yankees, from the mighty Yanks over the weekend. I will be honest, I don't know if any of us really thought, even though the Braves were trending up, I don't know if any of us really thought, yeah, they're going to go take 2 of 3 from the best team in the American League, Diesel, but they did. And it seems as if the Bravos are trending up. I mean, Marcell Ozuna, he's been the catalyst, right? He's been
hot
guy.
all season long. He never really cooled off.
Well, let's hope he doesn't. He's batting .314 right now, which is just smacking it. Olsen's up a little bit. Olsen's up to 246. Ozzy Albies 262. You've got guys like Michael Harris who are above 250 now. So, look, the Braves, as much as we've talked about wanting to hit the panic button, like we did a whole segment about it, is it time to hit the panic button?
Ye of little faith.
And it's like I've said before, man. You talk about baseball being a playoff where you have a 7-game series, just like the NBA, just like hockey. And the majority of the time in sports, you do get the best team as the champion, right? However, I do think in baseball, sometimes you just get the team that's the best at that time, the team that's the hottest at that time. I don't know that baseball's a sport where the best team always wins the championship. Yes, sometimes it does happen, but in 2021, Diesel and the Braves won it. They weren't the best team all regular season. Then fast forward a few years, the Braves are the best team in the regular season. They don't win it. They get booted. Get booted in the wild card. So it's a marathon, right? Like it truly is a marathon, and that's why, like as Braves fans, we should celebrate. We should be happy when the Braves win. But we're almost to a point, and I hate to say this, we're almost to a point in the MLB, Diesel, where it's like, yeah, a win's a win. Yeah, a loss is a loss. But at the end of the day, as long as you're in the hunt at the end of the season, that's all that truly matters.
Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened in 2022. That was the year both the Braves and the Dodgers were eliminated early in the postseason. Both of them had won their division. And then we saw in 2023, the Braves happened to them again. So, I mean, I don't think it's advantageous at all to win your division. I think it's actually a good thing to put yourself in contention and be in that, just stay in contention and be in that wild card situation. We saw the Phillies run roughshod over the Braves last year.
And that's baseball's fault, right?
Yeah, like that is Major League Baseball's fault. And you know as well as I do that they're not going to reduce the size of the playoffs. They're going to expand the playoffs. So now they're going to make the Braves eventually. They're going to expand that playoff, and they're going to make the division winners go out and play somebody, which is actually going to end up being a good thing because you're still playing meaningful ball. You're not taking time off and meaningful reps off.
So the Braves have won 8 of the last 10. And Spur Daddy, I see your chat. Spur Daddy says, I told y'all to chill on the Braves, not to overreact. The Braves have won 8 of the last 10. They outscored the Yankees 14-10 over the weekend. Sunday's win over the New York Yankees gave the Atlanta Braves a 3rd straight series win. I don't know if you remember, Diesel, but early last week we were talking about that series win being the first series win in about a month. Now they've gotten 3 straight. How quickly things can change in baseball. Atlanta now is 12-14 on the season against teams with a better record than 500. So not the best, but they are improving. The series over the AL East leading Yankees obviously helps validate the winning streak because, Diesel, there were, of the 8 of the last 9, there have been some wins. You look at Tampa Bay, Detroit, not the best teams, right? So a lot of people on Twitter that I saw were asking the question, are the Braves getting hot or are they just running roughshod through some really bad teams? But when you go up to New York on the road, take 2 of 3, Diesel, they could have swept that series easily if it wasn't for Charlie Morton, who's just terrible. Age is obviously caught up to him. Father Time's caught up to him. If it wasn't for Charlie Morton, the Braves could have swept this weekend. That's what's so pitiful. I mean, he is the weak link on this Braves team right now. And as long as he continues to be in the starting rotation, teams are going to have a chance. I know he's been really good in the playoffs. They call him postseason Morton, right? But at the end of the day, He's a vulnerability light right now on this Braves team, and they've got to figure out if they're going to make a move, if they're going to beef up the rotation, if they're going to pull somebody up, because Charlie Morton is a weak link. And a quick programming note, we're going to talk to Reggie Chapman Jr. at 4:20. First time joining us on Wire to Wire. Reggie covers the Braves for 11 Alive News, TV station in Atlanta, covers the Braves very heavily. We'll talk to him coming up at 4:20. So if you are a Braves fan, stay tuned for that one.
Yeah, and you got to feel good about, you still got to feel good about the Braves starting pitching. Max Fried is phenomenal.
He was great.
Sale is phenomenal. Who is it? Lopez is phenomenal. You got three guys inside the top 7 for the NL Cy Young odds to win this thing. And I'm going to ask our guest coming up at 4:20 that very question. See if he can give us some insight as to why Reynaldo Lopez, who's got the best ERA of the three of them, is last on the Braves roster, or last in contention for the NL Cy Young. Like, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Is it a name thing? Like, are they making you earn it after a couple of years? They want you to be in that conversation for a couple of years before they'll actually give you the award. I just need to know, why the guy who is arguably the best pitcher on this roster is not leading the charge for the Cy Young.
Max Fried was really good yesterday. I mean, like, what he did yesterday was just phenomenal. As you said, he's always been an ace on this rotation, on this staff. But when Strider kind of came on the scene, I don't want to say Strider took the ace away from Max Fried, but Strider, in a way, he did become the guy. Like, this year, he was the number one guy for the Braves. I put that in quotation marks because, they've got so many good pitchers, but Strider was the one. And Fried at one time was also the one. And he's showing right now that with, like you said, Diesel, with Reynaldo having the start that he's had, and continuing that success. It's not like Reynaldo Lopez just had a good start. He's been phenomenal all season. Chris Sale, knock on wood, has not had any injury issues, right? The Braves have won 8 of their last 9. They're 11-9 in June. Still 7 games back behind the Phillies, who are red hot, but they're only 6 back in the loss column. So the Braves are also they currently hold a healthy 5.5 game lead over the Cardinals for the first wild card spot. Big series starting tonight. As you said, Diesel, earlier in the show, they do have the Cardinals tonight in a 3-game series. Atlanta still has 10 more games against the Phillies, which will go a long way in deciding the division. So when you look at the division race, the Braves are 7 games back, but still have 10 left this season against the number 1 Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah, the Pirates are 37-40 right now. Cardinals are 39-37. So you got 2 teams hovering around 500. This could be a next stretch of 8 games, Cole. Remember, there's that road game at Chicago, the White Sox. That's a makeup from the April 3rd game. Yeah, that's going to be on what calendar day? That's Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday they'll play that 1 game makeup against the White Sox. I think the Atlanta Braves, with the way they're hitting the ball right now, with the way they're throwing the ball on the mound right now, especially those starters, I think there's a good chance that the Braves should walk away with at least 5 wins out of these next 7 games.
They should. I'll tell you this, them taking care of business the past week and a half against lesser opponents is big. And I know a lot of people will say, well, they're supposed to beat the bad teams, right? Well, yeah, but the Braves have been a bad team over the last month and a half. So them taking care of business against the bad teams and then taking care of the Yankees. We said it off air, Diesel, before we came on. I think we were talking about it maybe in the last segment. Marcell Ozuna, he leads the Braves right now, 88 hits, 64 RBIs. Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson have combined for 140 hits and 78 RBIs. So think about that for a minute. Marcell Ozuna is almost leading both of them in RBIs by himself. He's been a guy that we've talked about it. He obviously throughout his career has had some issues off the field, but man, he's been a guy that's been nothing but consistent for the Braves this season. He had a few rough years, and a lot of Braves fans I know felt like that he was getting overpaid. And a lot of Braves fans remember him in St. Louis because Marcell Ozuna wasn't terrible as a Cardinal. He was a part of that wild card game, 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago now. My years run together, but I'd say this about Braves fans and Ozuna. Yeah, he's had a lot of trouble off the field, and he's done things that you can't take up for the guy. However, on the field, he has been incredible. Waldrop, I think if you're a Braves fan, you really do look forward to what you have coming up in Waldrop. He's a guy that, man, might have a really, really nice debut. I'm talking about Hurston Waldrop, who was the first-round pick in the 2023 draft. He plans to make his major league debut against the Nationals on Sunday. If you've been following him as he's been in AAA, I believe, the guy's a native of Georgia, so he's grew up a Braves fan, but this guy's going to be special. So all that to say this, Diesel, it's a long season. Of course, we've talked about hitting the panic button because they've been terrible at times this season. But just like we have to pump the brakes when we say we hit the panic button, we also have to be cautious right now, right? And not get overhyped and all of a sudden start believing that this Braves team is going to go make some miraculous run. I think the key is for Braves fans to stay level-headed right now.
Well, the proof is, they found a way to pull themselves out of a slump. And, there's something our boss always tells us: you're never as good as your best ratings numbers, and you're never as bad as your worst ratings numbers, right? So
yeah,
you're never as bad as the worst stretch of the season. You're never as good as the best stretch of the season. Situation matters. Opponent matters. All these things are factors, right? And the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But with the Braves finally, rebounding off of that long slump that we all thought, man, this is bottom of the barrel for these Atlanta Braves. That's really encouraging at this point in the season. And you got to look at a guy like Jared Kelenic, the new left fielder. He's back up batting average near 270. He's hit 7 home runs in his short stint in Major League Baseball, 21 RBIs for him, 757 OPS. I mean, the pieces are coming back together for the Atlanta Braves, and fans, take a breath, take a sigh. Spur Daddy claiming that he was never concerned. Spur Daddy, though, we know is a little bit twitchy. He will change his Twitter handle. He will change his Facebook handle. He's been known to do that.
The only thing,
other situations.
The only thing I'll say about it before we run, because I know we have to hit a break. The only thing I would say is through the ups and downs, the Braves were bad. Now they're playing really good baseball. It just hurts, Diesel, not to have a guy like Strider, not to have your best player in Acuna, because if you have those guys and you're coming out of a slump and you're starting to get hot going into July and August, Braves fans feel like, oh, we're the best team in baseball. We have the best shot to win it all, and they would be right. However, without those two, it changes things. Still a very good team. It just stinks that those two are both out in the same season.
It does. But hey, Braves fans, you got a little stretch here to breathe. You're feeling a little bit better about things. Now you don't have to be so twitchy. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. 10 matchups, like you said, head-to-head with the Phillies coming up. So you got time to make that back up. If winning the division is the most important thing to you as a Braves fan, then you got time to make that up.
And by the way, Diesel, Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound tonight for the Braves versus Lance Lynn for St. Louis.
Coming up next, Cole, we talked last week about Brent Venables and the bag that he just got, the contract extension he just got from Oklahoma. Want to look around college football, Cole, and see if we can figure out who is going to be the next coach to get that bag, the next big contract coming. Who's it going to be? Who do you think it's going to be, Tolos? Text us 71307 or jump in that stream comment section and let us know. We'll discuss next on the Fan Upstate. You said it earlier, Cole. It's talking season. It's time for us to get deep in the nitty-gritty on some of our favorite sports because, well, we lose college baseball tonight. We lose NHL hockey tonight. And all we have to keep us warm, I mean, besides the 95-degree heat outside, Cole, is thinking about football. That's what we do this time of year. We think about football.
Sign me up. Where's the line?
We saw earlier last week, Cole, that Brent Venables got himself a big old payday. Now, it's not a huge pay raise. It's about $500,000 a year, which, hey, mess me up with a good time and give me $500,000. I would love that. But the question, Cole, was it really necessary for Oklahoma to extend Brent Venables at this point? Like at 16-10 in 2 seasons, who was really coming after Brent Venables? That's what I want to know. I mean, he was already on a 6-year deal. That was his initial contract with Oklahoma. He was only 2 years in, 16-10 in those 2 seasons. Was anybody really coming after Brent Venables and going to throw a ton of money at him?
It's a good question.
I don't know. I heard Jake Crane, the guy that we bring on our show regularly, he brought up a really interesting point. And that point was maybe somebody's hearing rumblings, and this is pure conjecture here, pure conjecture. Maybe somebody's hearing rumblings that Dabo Swinney is really getting fed up with the transfer portal and NIL, and then he's going to hang up the headset sooner rather than later. So maybe Oklahoma felt like Clemson would make him a massive offer to come back to Clemson. I mean, he's just ping-ponging back and forth between Oklahoma and Clemson at this point, if that were to happen. But you would have to assume that as good a times as they had with Brent in town and as familiar as he is with Clemson, that he would certainly be on a short list of phone calls if that were to happen. But, I mean, why really throw this extension at Brent Venables? $46 million, 6 years, brings him up to like $7.75-ish million off the top of my head. It's, again, $500,000 raise, not a huge sum of money. But, hey, he's still got the bag, right? He still is going to make $46 million off of this contract. So I wanted to look at some of the big-time salaries and big-time contracts in college football and see if we can figure out who might be the next one.
I know who it is
to get that bag.
I know.
So, you know.
Yep.
All right. Well, hang on a second before we get there. Don't be JoJo the Indian Circus boy.
That's who it is.
You think?
Right?
Oh, you think it's Shane Beamer?
That was a joke.
Shane better take a pay reduction at this point.
Calm down, Diesel. It was a joke. Diesel's getting all worked up.
Cole, you look at some of the where all the big contracts coming from lately. They're all coming from the SEC.
Sure.
They're all massive contracts, and they are setting the market for coaches. I mean, they're not just setting market, they are outpacing the market because outside of Dabo Swinney, I don't think really anybody outside of the SEC is in the top 10 as far as coaches' contracts go. Lane Kiffin, 8.75. Mark Stoops, $9 million. Eli Drinkwitz, $9 million. Josh Heupel, $9 million. Brian Kelly, he is on a huge deal, but he's on a 10-year, $9.5 million deal. Kalen DeBoer, Steve Sarkisian, all these top 10 coaches, Cole. But the thing is, all of them have signed their contracts in the last 2 years outside of Brian Kelly and somebody else who hasn't, Lincoln Riley. I don't think Lincoln Riley is really going to be pushing into that $9.5 million range because he hasn't earned it with wins and losses on the field. I mean, maybe because Southern Cal is coming into the Big Ten and they feel like they got to throw an even bigger pile of cash at somebody who's not winning a ton of football games. Lincoln Riley might be able to prove it, but I don't think it's going to be in year one in the Big Ten. I mean, I would be shocked. I would be flabbergasted if Lincoln Riley and USC tallied off 10 wins in year number one. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, but man, I feel like Lincoln's a guy that people are going to throw money at. And whether it's validated or not, I don't know. I'm just saying, to your point, he hasn't won in USC to a degree where it warrants him making that kind of money. And I would like to say a guy like Brian Kelly at LSU, but if you say he's already making 9.6, they're not going to – I mean, you can't raise him up from 9.6. I would probably go Lincoln Riley.
Unless he goes
Not
and
big.
wins you a title this year, you throw more money at him as a thank you, but he's already among the top 3 or 4, I think.
Highest paid already.
Highest paid, correct.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I mean, Brian Kelly's a good coach, but 9.6 being one of the highest paid, that might be a little. There's still the jury's still out on Marcus Freeman. Maybe we look at the Michigan coach, like in a year or two, if he just all of a sudden wins a national championship, maybe it's the Michigan coach.
That's possible. That's
I know he just got hired.
He just got hired, but we saw Oklahoma do this after only 2 years.
Yeah.
So
Sharon Moore, by the way.
I'm not thinking that Sharon Moore is going to get another contract in the next 12 months. I look at here's my short list, and I want to know how you think about some of these, and I want to know how you Tolos feel about some of these. Marcus Freeman, his terms are undisclosed at Notre Dame. They don't have to release that information. We know that his base salary, or we believe his base salary, is somewhere in the $6 million range, which I would expect Marcus Freeman to be making more than that at Notre Dame. But he was a first-time head coach, so maybe they were a little cautious on that $5.5, $6 million. And now, of course, there's all kind of incentives on top of that. So Marcus Freeman, possibly. How about Kyle Whittingham at Utah? He is in his 20th season as the head coach at Utah. That's virtually unheard of to spend 20 years. I mean, Kyle Whittingham, I'm sure he was getting offers from all over the place to leave Utah, but his current contract, Cole, runs through 2027, and they are preseason top 10, and they're going into the Big 12, going into a tougher conference. I think if Kyle Whittingham keeps Utah inside that top 10, or at least makes the playoff, I think there's a very real chance that Kyle Whittingham could be that guy. James Franklin, no, I don't think they got to throw a ton of money at James Franklin to keep him. NC State doesn't have to throw a lot more money at Dave Doran. Brent Pry maybe at
one
Virginia
name we
Tech.
hadn't said could be Lane Kiffin. He's making $9, but he could get a Brent Venables type raise where it's $500,000. I mean, let Lane Kiffin go have a good year this year.
It would take somebody who is a blue blood firing a head coach this year. And I can't think off the top of my head who that might be, who might actually be in danger of firing or retirement, to say, for Ole Miss to say, we got to throw another $2 million at this guy to keep him on staff.
Trey says Eli Drinkwitz needs a raise just so he can go get a haircut and get rid of that stupid hairstyle. I like that, Trey. Good comment. All right, Diesel, coming up next, what in the world is this Paris poop protest? Are you kidding me?
No, the Parisians, the French are in a league of their own when it comes to protesting. We're going to get into that next on the Fan Upstate. Well, it's happened in golf. Protesters stormed the 18th green at the Travelers Championship during a crucial moment. They fling paint canisters all over the green and shut things down for a couple of minutes. Dozens of cops swarm out onto the green, tackle these protesters. The crowd starts chanting USA, USA for some reason. Not entirely sure why. But Cole, I mean, I've never seen something like this happen in American golf.
Yeah.
Have you? Nothing.
Not to that extreme. You know,
No.
it frustrates you. You know, you're watching the game and you're watching the match, the golf match, if you will. And man, as you said, it's a crucial moment on the 18th green, and you've got an incredible fit. I don't know. It just seems like this year, Diesel, we've had incredible Sunday golf, and then these idiots come out.
Yeah.
It makes me want to say bad things like, bad things, right? These guys, I'm all for peaceful protest. I'm all for being passionate about a issue, Diesel. But what does this accomplish?
Yeah, if you want to stand outside of the course gates as thousands of people stream out of the course and stream off and go home with your signs that say no golf on a dead planet, that's fine. Do that if you want to. But tell me, how does it accomplish getting positive public sentiment for your protest group, which you're protesting? I guess, you're protesting climate change, to put an artificial substance like paint onto a living thing, grass.
Makes a lot of sense, don't
to
it?
prove your point. It doesn't make any sense at all.
Here's my question. Why do we live in a country that is full of smart people, right? Like, we have the smartest of the smartest, incredible people. But Diesel, why can't we understand in this country that anything other than a peaceful protest is not going to accomplish any goals? Peaceful protest, no issue.
Yeah.
This is a load of crap, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand the point of demonstrations like this, because it's not going to turn people to your cause. It's just going to make you look like idiots.
Oh, I support climate change, by the way, now. All of a sudden.
So, these are American protesters doing stupid things to protest issues here in America. Maybe this group, Cole, again, who are known as Extinction Rebellion, could learn a thing or two from the French. Now, I don't typically care for much when it comes to France. I like their toast and I like their kissing. Outside of that, I don't care for much about the French, other than the fact that, Cole, they are the world's best when it comes to protesting.
See, I had not heard this story until you put it on the rundown.
They do. The French protest all the time. Like, it is built into their culture. They protest everything.
They wake up and protest.
Well, they had a protest planned, Cole, for the Olympics, and to protest a lot of money that the French government is spending to get the Seine River back up to snuff and ready for the Olympics by doing what? Pooping in the river.
Oh,
yeah. So what the Seine River is the river that flows right through the heart of Paris. It's not really a river.
I'm looking at it now.
It's an offshoot. Nice. It's an offshoot of a bigger river. It's not really the main shoot of the river. And this river has been filthy for a long, long time. As a matter of fact, it's been illegal to swim in this water for over 100 years.
See, the pictures online make it look, wonderful.
They could be doctored. Cole. You can't trust your eyes.
Well, these do look good.
Yeah.
I'm going to type in dirty.
So to prove, Cole, that their efforts were working in time for the Olympics, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, and Mayor Hidalgo, had promised, Cole, that they were going to swim in the river ahead of the Olympics. They were going to spend all this money to get the E. coli and all the stuff out of the water. And then what do the French do? They organize a day to go poo in the river.
God.
So that on the day that the president and the mayor were going to be in the water, all the poo would be showing up to Paris at exactly the same time.
Wow.
So they organized this protest, and Cole, they had a website built and everything.
GoFundMe.
That would, no, not a GoFundMe. It's pooping's free, if you believe it or not. They had a website set up to tell you, based on where you live, when you should poo in the river to make sure that it was flowing down to Paris and being in the right part of the Seine at the right time.
What an all-time low. All-time low. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Imagine getting that in your email. What is this right here I'm opening? Oh, this is the poop schedule.
Yeah.
For when we're supposed to poop so that the poo is scheduled to arrive on time.
I'm sure they have, they got smartphones in France. I'm sure they have little notifications on their phone that say, okay, it's T-minus 2 days and 6 hours. Based on where you live, now is the ideal time for you to go out there and drop your dark passenger in the water, send it on down the line so that when President Macron and Mayor Hidalgo get in this river to prove how clean it is, it ain't going to be clean by the time they get there. Now, this part of the river, Cole, the Seine, is going to be a focal point of the games. We'll host a portion of the opening ceremonies and some of the open water swimming events like the triathlon and a mixed relay race. But unfortunately, Cole, they had to cancel the protest. They had to cancel the protest.
No pooping.
No pooing in the river because, well, the river's just too dirty as it is. So Mayor Hidalgo and President Macron, they've planned to spend $1.5 billion in cleanup efforts in preparation for the games. But recent tests show that the river is still way too dirty, and they've said, well, I'm not getting in there.
It cost $1.5 billion to clean up a river.
Yeah. Here's the problem, Cole, is they've been getting a tremendous amount of rain in and around Paris, feeding into this river. And as the sewer systems underneath Paris fill up, they are now backing up into the Seine. Typically, they don't flow into the Seine, these sewers. But when they're getting the heavy rain that they're getting, they're backing up and they're flowing into the river. So because it's still too dirty for the president and the mayor to get in, they're not getting in. They've already publicly announced that they are not getting in the river. So the protesters had to shut it down. I'm serious. This whole thing is planned, and I can't speak French. So anybody who wants to help me, I'm going to try here. J'étais dans les Seine le 23rd. I don't know how to say 23 in French. June.
Yeah.
Otherwise known in English as the I bleep in the Seine on June 23rd protest. That's what it was called. It's very on the nose, right? They didn't have to come up with some special name for it. They just called the protest I bleep in the Seine on June 23rd. But now, Cole, again, because it's too dirty, the president said, I'm not doing it at all. The mayor has pushed back her dip in the river to July 15th, 16th, or 17th, depending on the weather. So to thwart any attempts to get this protest back up and running again, she's now given a range of when she's going to get in, not a specific date.
Are there any sports that are taking place in the river during the Olympics?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's the triathlon and a mixed relay race. A lot of other water sports are going to be taking place in other bodies of water. Obviously,
I was going to say, man,
pools and things like that.
Move the crap. Move it.
Yeah.
Move it.
I mean, you got to do the
not the crap. Move the sport. Sorry, bad word.
Yeah, you got to do you got to do all the rowing sports outdoors. But I don't know if they are, most of the time when you see it, it's on really flat water. So I don't think it's a river when you see a lot of these things. I think they probably find different places to do it, or they dam up rivers and make pools, however they do it. But, number one, shout out to the French for going hard on their protests, right? Going hard.
That's one way to put it.
And dear God, I mean, that shout out to them. They are on a whole other level. We pop paint canisters and throw it on the green when Scotty Scheffler's trying to win a tournament, which, speaking of which, shame on you for saying that his slump was going to continue. I trust in Scotty. I believed in you, Scotty. Cole Bryson didn't. Send $1 million to my house, but not to his.
I guess, if you feel that the river is unsafe, I understand the concerns, but I hear you say that we have to have these certain games, and I guess my whole point is find another body of water. Like, is that not a big enough of a country? Y'all don't have some kind of big swimming pool or something inside?
Maybe not near enough to Paris.
Come on.
Like some of the, I mean, again, I don't, there's so many Olympic events that I'm not even aware of. I didn't even know they do some of these things. Like I didn't know that solo synchronized swimming was actually a thing.
How about this? What about just suck it up and go swim in the dirty river? Like what's the worst that can happen?
A lot can happen. So, they want to be able to test things right now, right? They want to be able to make sure that, that it's safe to get in. It can cause a lot of respiratory issues, skin infections. If it gets in your mouth and your eyes and other places, obviously it can cause a lot of infections. And as of right now, Cole, the big issue that they're seeing in the Seine River is E. coli. Now, E. coli is gross. It's really dirty, but it's not by itself necessarily a reason why you wouldn't put events in that water. It's that E. coli is also I forget the exact terminology for it, basically like a harbinger of other bacteria. You know, if you see a lot of E. coli in there, there's a good chance you're going to see other bacteria in there as well.
Well, you know what I say? You knew this when you were planning the Olympics. Don't put the Olympics in Paris. Sorry, Paris. Your water sucks. It's too dirty. You're not getting the Olympics. If it's that big of a deal,
you need to Google recent photos.
Yeah,
that water is brown and choppy and nasty.
Yeah, I'm looking at one now. It doesn't look the best.
Yeah. And the French swimmers, they want to train in the water because they have access to the water that is going to be in the event. They want to be able to train in it so they can have the best possible chance, right? Well, they can't train in it because they would legitimately get sick.
I guess I'd be calling the local hotels, asking if, hey, you have a lazy river we can borrow? I mean, come on. How far is it you have to swim in a triathlon? I have no idea.
I see all those ads for the hot tubs that are big enough for you to swim fake laps in. Why couldn't you just hop into one of those?
So I just wonder, like, I hear this story. What would, like, let's think worst case scenario. What would the worst thing happen? Like, they just say, hey, you can't compete? I mean, could that happen if they didn't allow these sports to compete in the Olympics because the river's too dirty?
Madcraft says, I'd get on board with that. I'd go poo in the water near my van down by the river.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you found out that, let's just say for the sake of example, that we had the Olympics in Greenville, and you found out that Joe Biden said, I'm going to go get in the water on this date to prove that the water is clean, you know, a bunch of right wingers would go poo in the water.
That's weird, man. That's weird. I don't know. That's just weird. I just think realistically, what's the worst thing that could happen? Could they cancel the water events? Could they just say they're not going to take place?
Yeah.
You can't do it. I don't know.
Imagine spending $1.5 billion to get this water ready.
And it's still not
ready.
Bad.
I mean,
$1.5 billion on water.
I want to know, how many times have the Olympics been in Paris?
Have you seen the pictures of like the rest of the areas around? It looks trashy. Is Paris a trashy city?
So from what I've heard, you know what, we should ask Snowman. Snowman, who is English. Yep. We should ask, hey, what's your opinion of Paris? Paris has hosted the Olympics, Cole, but it's been a long time. 1900 and 1924 were the last times Paris has hosted the Summer Olympics. You got to assume that a lot of these events hadn't been invented yet. They hadn't been added to the Olympics yet. But, you know, if you knew that you were going to be hosting the Olympics and you put in the bid for it, you should have started right then and there with these efforts. And that means probably updating your sewage systems to not back up when it rains heavily, right? So, I mean, that's part of that is on Macron. Part of that is on Hidalgo. Part of that is on anybody and everybody who's been in government in Paris for the last 100 years, allowing your water to get this filthy. Again, it's been illegal to swim in this water for 100 years. And nobody said, maybe we should do something about this.
So according to several people on Reddit, Paris is a filthy city. I'm just reading a few accounts, and I know you can say any city's filthy, right? But I don't know, man. For our Tolos, if you've been to Paris, is it that dirty, or is it just the water?
Madcraft says, wasn't the water in Rio a major concern? Athletes were declining to go
No, that's true.
because of the water.
I do remember that.
I mean, it also highlights how filthy our rivers around the world are.
We just need to have the Olympics at Myrtle Beach every year to be done with it. The cleanest water in America.
By comparison, it's probably cleaner than that French water. But I mean, like, have you ever seen photos of like the Ganges in India, some of these big rivers in China? They're disgusting with the amount of fecal matter and trash floating in them.
You know, I feel
It's
like
horrible.
we're fortunate here. I mean, I feel like for the most part, our rivers are pretty clean. I mean, I don't go river scouting a lot, but I do enjoy time, you know, doing recreational activities.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of dirty rivers here. Is the downtown? What's the one that goes through downtown Greenville? The Reedy? Is it dirty?
It is. It's dirty because of all the pollution that was dumped in it, you know, years and years and decades ago. So it is dirty. I mean, people have been asking, hey, can't we clean up Conisty where all that water flows and it gets into the floodplain and the marshes down there? And they say it would be worse if they dredged it to try to pick up that pollution, because then they would unsettle everything. Basically, you got soil, you got all that pollution, and you got more soil sitting on top of it. And they could go dig all that stuff out, but it would churn all of it up.
Yeah.
And it would be way worse if they churned it up. So it's better to just leave it.
I'm looking now. I'm just fascinated by this. The 12 dirtiest rivers in the world, none of the 12 are in the United States.
How about it?
So we did something right.
I mean, there are signs. I mean, I don't know how much of it is just for legal liability, but there are signs all over the Reedy downtown that say swimming is illegal in the Reedy.
Oh, does it say that really?
Yeah, and I've always heard it's really filthy, really filthy. And it's not the water flowing anymore. It's all that pollution sitting underneath the sediment.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I hate it for those that are doing the water activities, but you know what? Like, that's the Olympic. Whoever decides where the Olympics are, that's their fault. You know, like, it's on them. They should have.
Yeah. When did they get this
homework.
bid? They probably got this bid like 10 years ago.
Probably.
You had a decade to clean this up, and you waited until now.
Or just don't have it there. If you know their river's dirty, I mean, this is crazy.
Maybe they should hire a pool service. You know, throw a couple chlorine tabs in there.
That would probably work. Throw some chlorine, and it's like $1.5 billion worth of chlorine evidently is not enough. I say just turn the river a different color and nobody will know. How about the one in Chicago? They do that in Chicago, don't they?
Yeah,
St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah.
Wow. Fascinating. Really fascinating. All right, Diesel. We go back to the Atlanta Braves in the very next segment. We bring in Reggie Chapman Jr., friend of mine. He is a sports anchor and reporter in Atlanta, Georgia. Covers the Braves, Hawks, many more things. We'll talk to Reggie and get his thoughts on the Atlanta Braves and their mini run that they're on right now. Next. We talked a little Atlanta Braves earlier in the program, and we will be glad to circle back to them. Listen, if they're winning, we'll talk about them, right? If they're losing, we'll just poop on the Atlanta Braves like everybody else does, I guess. I guess that's how you do things now. Want to bring in Reggie Chapman Jr. He is a sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News in Atlanta, covers the Braves, Falcons, Hawks, you name it. Reggie, number one, good to have you on the show, man. Has been a while since we last talked, but I guess the second part of my my introduction to you is if Reggie Chapman Jr. has to put a finger on what has been the key to success for the Braves as of late, what would it be?
I'll be honest, and first off, thanks for having me on. I think the difference is just they're starting games faster. And that feels to me, honestly, what their old bread and butter used to be. And naturally, when you've got Ronald Acuna Jr. leading off your lineup, that's instant offense. But of course, he's out. He's gone. ACL torn once again. He's out for the season. I think the big difference they've made is, one, I think the bats are starting to hit a little bit better, but I don't want to undersell the change that Brian Snitker made, putting Jared Kelenic at the top of this lineup. They are 8-2 over their last 10 with him at the top of the lineup. He's on a 10-game hitting streak. And since he's been moved to that spot on June 15th, I mean, he has been incredible in that spot. So, I don't know, Jared Kelenic starting off the offense there. Austin Riley seems to have really figured something out recently. And then Marcelo Zuna continues to rake like he has all season long. And it's starting to really come together. And thankfully for them, the pitching has kind of stood out as well.
Sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News in Atlanta, Reggie Chapman Jr. joins us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Reggie, we had a texter hit us up with something earlier, and I haven't been able to confirm this. Maybe you can give us a little more info. He was mentioning a new Michael Harris injury that could possibly keep him out for an extended period of time. Now, I know he's obviously fought a lot of issues over the past couple of weeks, but can you give us any update on his condition?
No new updates, at least from what I heard. Just I know he's injured at the end of the day. And I know that this team definitely would like to have him back in center field because he's, just the bat obviously has been good and he's been trying to get back on pace, but just defensively in center field, he makes a major, major difference. So I don't know, nothing different with the hamstring injury, at least from what I've heard. I'm definitely going to have to look into that now going into my shows later today. But yeah, Michael Harris, man, I mean, he's an incredible player. And I mean, to not have him in this lineup is just another loss, but thankfully for this Braves team, putting Kelenic at the top of the lineup has kind of helped things out a little bit.
Reggie, what's to say about the Atlanta Braves that despite injuries to Strider, Acuna Jr., Michael Harris, you name it, those aren't the only three this season, but this Braves team, they did go through a rough patch. They started the season well, and it seems like they're picking things up again. What's to say about the Braves team that they're still able to win so many games and look as formidable as a team as they have been?
Well, it just shows you that they are just incredibly talented. I mean, last season offensively was not a fluke in any way, shape, or form. Of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. had an all-time season that we've never seen in Major League Baseball history, but the rest of that lineup was insane. This year, it's really pretty much the same lineup with a couple of tweaks and changes, and it just wasn't working out for him this year. I mean, a lot of the hard hit ball rates are still really, really high. Balls just weren't landing, and it seems like things have changed over the last, couple of weeks here where the ball's just starting to land or get out of the yard and they're able to get on base and score some runs. I do think what has really kind of kept them in it, and it's two guys that we maybe didn't know how good they would be. Really three guys in the starting rotation. I mean, Max Fried, of course, he was going into a contract year this year. I'm sure at this point, Alex Anthopoulos probably hoped that he had probably signed him before now because he has been very, very good. Reynaldo Lopez, they didn't know how good he'd be as he was a reliever and now turned starter. He's been unbelievable. He's leading the majors in ERA. And then Chris Sale looks like he's the same Chris Sale as when he was incredible back with the Boston Red Sox. So, I mean, between those three guys in the starting rotation, that's really holding this team together. And as the bats are starting to figure it out now, it's starting to look really good.
Reggie Chapman Jr. joins us here on the Fan Upstate. I want to ask you about Reynaldo Lopez there. He is absolutely fantastic. 5-2 on the season, a 1.57 ERA, 76 strikeouts. He's arguably statistically better than Max Fried and Chris Sale. So why is he third on the list from the Atlanta Braves for the NL Cy Young Award? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I'll be honest. I think it's probably just the dominance, I guess, of the other two guys. I mean, when you look at how Chris Sale has been pitching, he's up there with the leaders in the majors in strikeouts. And the same thing with Fried. I mean, he's just been unbelievable. Ronaldo, meanwhile, it's you're right. It's even in town, it feels like he's like a quiet. It's just quiet. I mean, when he was what was that game he had a couple weeks ago when he was pitching against Detroit? Major League Baseball tweeted out this graphic that said aces on the mound, and it was Reynaldo Lopez and his ERA, and then I can't remember who Detroit was pitching in that game. And I just thought it was super interesting because on a roster that you have a Max Fried, who is known as the ace, as the number one on this pitching rotation, and Chris Sale, who has been as good as possible. Reynaldo, just because of these two other guys being just bigger names, I think are just getting more love. But Reynaldo has been absolutely been pitching like he's an ace, and I mean, he should find himself, hopefully, if he can get in, I mean, having him as an all-star would be pretty great.
Reggie Chapman joining us on the Fan Upstate. Reggie, we appreciate you hopping on with us to talk Atlanta Braves. This is a tough question, but in your opinion, should the Braves be shortstop shopping before the deadline?
I don't think so. I personally don't think so, mostly because, look, man, I still like Orlando RC. I think that, defensively he handles the job. And then the bat, look, I think people got confused when they saw how well he was hitting at times last year, and then at certain spots this year was on a little bit of a tear. Orlando RC was not in the lineup to hit the baseball. That's not really what got him into the majors. It's the strong arm, his defensive ability. That's what got him the starting job last year, when there was all these questions about who was going to be the starting shortstop for this team. So I don't know, man. Look, moving down the lineup, the rest of the bats, I mean, should be able to kind of hold him down from there. But I mean, at the end of the day, they do have a couple of guys in the farm system that could come up as well if it comes down to it. But I don't think you need to make a move there. That's not the Braves' biggest problem.
Reggie, have you seen any of these players clapping back against all of the negativity that they had heard during the slump, or have they pretty much kept that to the vest?
It's nothing that they didn't know what's happening themselves, right? I think that the good thing about the Braves is that they're very, they know what's going on. They realize themselves that they weren't playing well. I mean, it's not any more obvious than it was for them. They can go out and see all the different noise online. And like you said, people will come out and just talk a lot of mess about the Braves when they're not playing well, and they'll talk them up when they're playing really, really well, right? They know at the end of the day that it wasn't them just playing bad. Things just were not working out. And, maybe some changes need to be made, but really the lineup was the same. I think just guys needed to kind of lock back in. And so they haven't really been frustrated or felt like, oh, people were talking bad about us. They just felt like, okay, this is going to work out eventually. And now it finally is. And for that reason, they're just kind of continue to build on a momentum, and they feel really good about their chances going forward.
Reggie, something we've talked about on this show, and it's kind of a fascinating story, but I want to get your thoughts on when it's all said and done for Marcell Ozuna. I don't know if he'll retire a Brave. I hope he does, but he's had issues off the field, and Braves fans have had their issues with Marcell. But what do you think Braves fans will remember Marcell as when he calls it a career?
I think they'll remember Marcell Ozuna as just another great hitter that was part of the Braves organization. I don't know. I don't think he's seen in the same regard as, Freddie Freeman, or, should even think about guys that came in just for that World Series run, whether it's Jock Peterson, where forever he'll be looked at as a legend here. Eddie Rosario, who had that incredible run in the NLCS, same thing. Jorge Soler, whenever he comes back to town, is looked at as a legend. Marcell, he's just looked at as a very good player that can hit. You know what I mean? I think that it's cool that, he's started to kind of come around with his, personality, and he's become more of a leader in this clubhouse as of late. But I think you're right. The stuff that he had done in the past, it doesn't lead fans out here to connect with him as much as maybe some of these other guys that may have come and gone. Dansby Swanson, whenever he comes back to town, people are still going to love forever. You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be the case with Marcell, but I do think they're very appreciative of him right now, keeping this team afloat, and now that the rest of this lineup is starting to catch up, it's helped.
Reggie, there's a 7-game road stretch ahead. Cardinals, White Sox, Pirates. None of those teams are particularly great. How many wins do you see out of the next 7?
Well, look, I think out of the next 7, you're probably going to get both of the Pirates aces at home, which is going to be, I mean, one, just fun for fans. I'm a big Paul Skeens guy. I went to LSU, so naturally I'm a little worried if you're a Braves fan, maybe you're worried about winning that one. Well, other than that, man, I mean, the Cardinals, they've been kind of middling, but they've been playing pretty well recently as well. I mean, coming off of a series win against the Giants, and they played well this last weekend. I mean, the White Sox, you probably want to get that one. So I think over this next stretch here, if you can kind of come out and be, 4-3, 5-2, you probably feel pretty good about it. But I don't see them really sweeping through all this. I mean, the Pirates have some talent. It's really the pitching. They kind of got unlucky where they're going to see both of the Pirates aces, and then the Cardinals have been playing well as of late, and they're at home. But they should play well.
Hey, Reg, you have a little bit of a fun question for you. I know on your Twitter, by the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Reggie Chapman. That's CHATMAN. You cover the Hawks, the Falcons, the Braves, Georgia, and Georgia Tech, and it says more. So let's say that the past is the past. We have wiped the slate clean. You cannot think about the championships that have been won in recent years, but of the teams that Reggie Chapman Jr. covers, which will be holding up their prospective trophy first?
Ooh, okay. That's maybe set right now to get it done.
Yeah.
It's probably the Braves. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the team is not that different from a couple of years ago where they won it all. I mean, they're missing some players. I think they're the best choice to get it done. I think the other teams in town, thankfully, are just on the right track. None of them are like an absolute train wreck disaster, right? I mean, even if you're going down to the dream, they're still in playoff contention. The Falcons are in a much better place than they were even last year, where they had basically me out there playing quarterback. And then, of course, you talk about the Hawks. They're in a nice position this upcoming year where they're going to get the number 1 overall pick. I'm going out to the draft tomorrow. That's going to be great. I mean, all these teams have excitement around them, but none of them, other than maybe the Braves, are in a position to actually win a championship. I think that they'll be next. Georgia, that's true. Actually, Georgia's in the cut too, huh?
That's right. Can't forget about Kirby.
You know what? I think. Look, I'll probably still take the Braves. Just in the current standing, Georgia's gonna be very good. But I don't know, the first year of this college football playoff, and I think also the fact they've got a difficult schedule for I think the first time in a long time. They'd probably be my number 2.
Reggie, you said there that you're an LSU guy. I want to get your thoughts on the recent hire that the South Carolina Gamecocks made, hiring your former skipper, Paul Mainieri.
Incredible. You know what? That was a huge surprise to me and all of my buddies that used to cover that team and all the people that still cover the team now. Paul Mainieri, when he left LSU, I don't know, man. It felt like at the time, it just seemed like the game had kind of passed him by a little bit. He's just a little older. He's a little bit more old school as we were moving to more analytics based and everything like that. I mean, Paul's a great coach. He's a great guy. And I felt like, maybe things that kind of just passed him by a little bit and he just chose to retire. But you could tell he still had that drive and that energy to still want to coach. And so it's not really a surprise that he took a new job. It's a little weird that's going to be at South Carolina, but at the end of the day, he made a point, I think, in an interview recently where he said, I hope LSU fans aren't mad or angry with me. I just wanted another opportunity to coach. And I don't think that anybody would blame Paul for doing that because he's going to be loved here forever. And plus, I think also because, or in Baton Rouge forever, but also you got Jay Johnson out there leading the way for the Tigers. So either way, if Paul becomes a problem out there in South Carolina, it could be an issue long term, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see him back on the coaching wagon again.
Reggie, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us, and let's do it again soon, man.
I would love to, man. Take me back.
Absolutely. That's Reggie Chapman Jr. You can follow him on Twitter at Reggie Chapman. He covers the Braves, Hawks, Falcons. I can imagine covering that many schools. Georgia Tech for 11 Alive News. Fantastic stuff there. By the way, by Reggie.
Covering most of those teams, Cole, if that was my beat, I would have cirrhosis of the liver by now. I mean, at least Georgia helps you, it gives you a different reason to get cirrhosis of the liver, little party time, a little celebration. But those other teams, man, that is a tough beat. Atlanta is a difficult city to be a sports fan in right now. Outside of the Braves and outside of the Georgia Bulldogs, most everything else in Atlanta sucks.
So Reggie got there 3 years ago. He was we first met when he was in Baton Rouge and in Louisiana, and He's been in Atlanta now for 3 years. So Diesel, if he's been there for 3 years, he caught the Braves championship, and then what? 2 natties for Georgia. Is that right? So
Yeah.
that's not terrible. Did they win? They won in 20.
Does his bio say he
1-3?
covers MLS? Is the Atlanta MLS team any good?
You know what? It doesn't say it, but it says more. Maybe more means soccer. Maybe soccer just didn't fit in the bio, or nobody cares about. Oh, don't. Let me
I
say
wouldn't put
that.
it in my bio either.
I was going to say, don't let me say.
Yeah. Well,
Nobody
they're
cares
sub
about
500 at the moment. They've won 5, lost 8, drawn in 6.
I couldn't even tell you the team name.
Atlanta United.
Oh, that's all it is?
Yeah, there's no mascot.
So you just put United by any city, and that's what the name of the soccer team is?
I'd say 75% of them either have FC or United.
So that's the easy way to follow the sport, right?
Yeah, just name the city and then FC.
All right, let's do it. Dallas FC.
Yeah, probably.
I think it is, really.
Yeah, or Dallas United.
All right, let's think. New York City. Does New York? Nah, they don't do soccer. LA United. Trying to think of.
Well, they're the Galaxy, aren't they?
Oh, are they? See, you're asking the wrong person.
I don't know.
Just because I watched a soccer game with Rob Brown last night, don't start asking me soccer questions all of a sudden, Diesel. And USA won, by the way.
Fun.
You said you texted back and said you didn't even know we were at war.
Yeah, I didn't know.
We were at some tournament, apparently. United States. I don't know. I'm not a soccer guy. Listen to Rob Brown, though. He'll tell you.
It should be our patriotic duty to watch anytime Team USA is playing at anything, right?
It should be.
We don't. We all hate soccer that much. And you can't make us like it.
It should be, but it's not. All right, Daily Wires next. We'll get you caught up on what happened over the weekend. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is the Fan Upstate. It's time. It might help if you turn the microphone on, Cole. It's time to get you caught up on what's happening all in the sports world, what happened over the weekend, and what's happening tonight. We call them the Daily Wires.
Bzzz.
Goes good with that music, don't it? With that bed. That's
Love
more
it.
of an electric bed. It's the first time I've heard that one, I believe. All right. Texas A&M, and by the way, we're going to get to you, JD, on the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. I see you there. A&M defeated Tennessee on Saturday, 9-5, as we talked about earlier, Diesel. Tennessee defeated A&M on Sunday, 4-1 to force a Game 3. Game 3 tonight.
Yeah.
Is that a late first pitch? Do we know? Is it like 8?
7 o'clock.
Okay, it's not bad.
7 o'clock, yeah.
Oh, it's the next Daily Wire. Okay, I'll just read down.
It's right there.
National Championship
I
Game 3
stared at
tonight
it.
at 7 o'clock. If you read the next line, Cole, you see what time the game is. Also, yesterday, Scotty Scheffler just keeps winning. The world's #1 golfer defeated Tom Kim in a playoff. Fantastic tournament yesterday. Fantastic Sunday golf. Tom Kim, Diesel, he played really, really well.
Yeah.
He bunkered one on the playoff, and that cost him.
Yeah, and Scotty had a chance there. I want to say it was on 15 or 16. He had a chance to stay one stroke ahead, and he missed a short putt. It was probably about 6-8 feet. It's not short. I mean, if you play golf, a 6 or an 8 footer, that's a guaranteed 2 putt for me, guaranteed. but guys like Scotty Scheffler, they hit those putts, and that's why they win. Well, he left the door wide open with that putt, and Tom Kim was able to force a playoff. And wow, how exciting was that?
Well, Scotty also had a chance on 18, not in the playoff, but in regulation, to hit a long putt to win it, and it just barely missed. He's playing so good right now, man. It's just phenomenal. The Braves took 2 of 3 against the Yankees this past weekend. They're in St. Louis tonight, 7:45 first pitch. Spencer Schwellenbach on the mound. They're now 7.5 games back. It's Game 7. Did you hear me say that right? Game 7 tonight in the NHL, 8 o'clock, Florida Panthers. Diesel, would this be the biggest choke job in history of choke jobs if they cannot get this done tonight? They were leading 3-0.
Yep.
We get a Game 7 tonight. Sign me up.
Of course, all the momentum is with Edmonton right now. I just want to know, Cole, has anybody spent the money to fly Oilers Kate down to Florida, down to Miami? Everybody deserves a nice vacation, right?
Yes,
a South Florida vacation.
Sponsored by OnlyFans.
If
Right?
only.
If only. Christopher Bell won at New Hampshire Speedway last night for the 3rd time this season. So he continues to rack them up. I have some audio. This is hilarious. Kyle Larson, Diesel, what would you do if you were Kyle Larson's spotter? You got onto him. This is what Kyle Larson said.
Into the 5 radio.
He runs you like that every time. You know why? Because you let it happen. Shut the f*** up.
That's Kyle Larson. Back to his chief, his pit crew.
You know why? Because you let it happen. Shut the f*** up.
Not happy, Kyle Larson, are you, buddy?
You let it happen.
You let it happen.
Shut the bleep up.
And then the worst news, 18th hole yesterday, Travelers Championship, interrupted by 5 morons, 5 protesters with colored powder. How cute. They were climate control activists. So those are the Daily Wires. You can get in touch with the show, 71307.
So they're the ones who keep putting out all these memes on social media that says we need to adjust our AC temperatures to
Probably
78 degrees.
Probably
Not
so.
happening. Not happening.
71307. Start your text with the word fan. Carolina, or the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone, 844 fan phone. That's FANFONE. JD wants to chime in. What's up, man?
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you, as always, for taking my call. I'm going to go rapid fire here because, I got in on the Daily Wire section. Man, is there anything better? You know, we say Game 7 a lot, but obviously we've got a Game 3 this evening. So, I mean, is there anything better, though, than an elimination winner-take-all game? NHL tonight, Game 7, College World Series, Game 3. It's a beautiful thing. And listen, I had to get you guys' opinion on one thing. All right, y'all mentioned Brent Venables earlier. I said it was too soon to sign him to a contract extension. He was already locked up through 2027. But here's my question, though, y'all. Is there anything more ridiculous than having to have a get-back coach on the sideline? Players don't get that. players don't have somebody out there holding their hand, and you're the head coach. You're the one that is trying to teach these players self-discipline. So please tell me why it is okay for a coach to have one dedicated person to keep them off of the field. That is ridiculous. I look forward to hearing your answer. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, JD. Sounds like you're a hater a little bit of.
It is weird. No, it's he's not a hater. He's right. It's weird.
See, I don't mind it.
It's weird. It's like when you watch ice dancing and they lift somebody up in the air. Like, is that what's about to happen? Like, think about this.
Maybe.
Think about this. You're a grown ass man.
Yeah.
Who, number one, doesn't have any discipline to not go out on the field. Like, you know the rule. Get your ass back in the white paint. Number two, you pay somebody, Cole, to stand behind you and just slink up and grab you on the hips.
Well, I don't think that's his only
pull
job.
You back.
You know?
I mean, but still, somebody's getting paid to do that. You're paying someone to put their hands ever so gently on your hips and pull you close.
Yeah.
In an embrace.
You know, those intense,
to get you off
man.
Field.
College football's intense. You know, you say, oh, you're supposed to remember. It's intense. It is intense.
I mean,
the last thing that would go through my mind is, oh, I have to be in a box.
I walk up behind my wife and I put my hands on her hips like that.
Yeah.
I would not do that to another man.
Well, if I got paid, what are they paying those strength coaches now?
If Brent needs to have a handle, right? Like, you ever go somewhere and you feel bad for the little kid who's wearing a leash? Because clearly that kid's an escape risk, like a flight risk.
You think?
And so they got the leash. Why didn't they have that? You know, like, you know, those expanding dog leashes with have the little reel and the button on it. Why doesn't the coach just have that? Just yank it back every now and again.
I don't mind it.
Like, I
don't know.
put a pinch collar on my dog. Why can't they put a pinch collar on Brent Venables?
I don't know. I know a lot of people comment on it, but for whatever reason, it doesn't bother me as much.
It's weird. Figure it out, coach. Every other coach in America has this figured out, and you don't. When we come back, Cole, it's time for you and I to go toe-to-toe on 3 different topics. We call it the 5 o'clock fight, and you, the Tolos, get to tell us round by round who wins. That's coming up on the other side. 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM in Spartanburg, and wherever you are on the free Odyssey app. JD messages in on the stream and says, Diesel just said that I was right. That was a first. JD, you remember that? Because coming up here in just a couple of minutes, we're going to ask you and all the other Tolos, which means turn it on and leave it on.
Heck yeah.
To vote and tell us who's right in each round of this segment. We call it the 5 o'clock fight every single day at this time. We pick 3 different topics, try to find something with some controversy, and you tell us who's got the better opinion, who's got the better take. We call it the 5 o'clock fight. Let's get into it.
3 topics, 1 winner. It's the 5 o'clock fight on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Yeah, and you can get your votes in. You can have your opinion be heard when you text into the show, 71307. Tell us who wins each round of the fight. Just be sure to start your text with keyword fan. You can also hit us up on any way that you're watching the stream, on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube. Just hit us up, say round 1 Diesel or round 1 Cole, as to say who wins each round of the fight. Let's get started.
Round 1, fight.
Cole, you're going out of the country here in a couple of weeks. You're going to be flying away from us for just a little while.
Hopefully coming back.
What type of person are you, Cole, when your flight lands? Do you get up immediately and try to be the first one off the plane?
Yeah.
Or do you sit down in your chair and wait?
It's a great question. I'm a little bit of a creature of habit, Diesel, when it comes to flying. When the plane lands, it's a mad dash, right? It's comical to me that a plane lands and everybody is in a hurry, in a rush to get off, and they're all going to the same place.
Yeah.
We're going to see each other in 20 minutes at baggage claim.
This
I
is
don't know why
assuming-
we're rushing.
This is assuming you're not rushing to a connecting flight.
Right. So when it lands, I will normally wait until my rows go in front of me. But when my rows go in front of me, you better believe I'm standing up, I'm out. I'm not waiting. I'm not going to wait. If that's what you're asking, I'm not waiting on everybody to clear out.
Yeah, it's called the zipper method, right? Like the left side goes
right.
and the right side goes, left side, right side, and you clear it out that way. But yeah, who are these people, Cole, who stand up immediately as soon as they take the seatbelt sign off? People just stand up, and you see these morons, and they're standing there with their head like crooked sideways because, well, airplanes are tiny, right? And you can't stand all the way up. I like to say that I am that person who sits and just waits, Cole, but I get fidgety. I get real fidgety. Now, I still wait for the rows in front of me to go, but I stand up almost immediately. I got to stand up. Like my knees get sore, my back gets sore.
Yeah.
I can't sit there for too long. And like, I want to just jump out. I want to jump out. And you have to be aggressive because the people behind you are going to do the exact same thing. And if you're not aggressive, Cole, getting up and getting out of your row, people will jump in front of you. They don't have any tact. They don't know how to operate on a plane. So you got to, man, you got to stand up and be aggressive.
I'll usually sit and wait. However, if somebody jumps in front, I'll say something like, come on, bro. Now, I will tell you this, something weird that I do. When I'm getting on the plane, you know how they call groups, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, whatever. I'm always the very last person on the plane.
Really?
Yeah, I wait till the very end.
I like being the last one on.
Yeah, because everybody's a mad dash to get on.
Yeah.
You're going to go and get claustrophobic and sit for an hour, and everybody's, you know,
The
you're
only
not
problem
going
with that
anywhere.
is if you got to put something in overhead
I know,
storage,
it
you
is
got
a
no
risk.
overhead storage space.
You're
So.
right. That is a risk. However, I'm always the very last person on. I don't fly as much as I used to, but I don't like getting on
But hey,
early.
if you're a smart traveler and you got something you can stuff under your seat, and that's all you're carrying on the plane with you, you don't need overhead storage space.
True.
Round 2, let's do it.
Round 2, fight.
Yesterday, Cole, you got peer pressured into coming to hang out with Rob Brown.
Peer pressure.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. It's more like beer pressured. You got beer pressured to come and hang out with Rob Brown. I wasn't there because I was doing manly stuff. I was at home building cabinets, but you went out and you had yourself a good time.
Mhm.
But I was still on the text message chain, and Rob was trying to get us to come out and watch sports with him. But it's
Soccer,
not
to
like, but
be
like
exact.
not like good sports, right? It's the bad sports, the ones that aren't really sports at all. So if Rob Brown, Cole, drags you out to watch something with him, Would you rather it be soccer or wrestling?
This is a fantastic question. I'm not big into wrestling, and I'm sure as heck not into I'm not into soccer either, Diesel. But I'll tell you this: at least soccer's a real sport. I'm at least gonna go.
Defense.
I'm at least gonna go soccer. If I have to get drug out by Rob Brown to go watch an event and it's only soccer or wrestling, I'll go watch soccer. I learn about it. He teaches me. He tries. He attempts to teach me about the game. I'm a little bit uneducated when it comes to soccer. I just can't do the whole wrestling thing, man.
You know that meme where there's the blonde sitting in like a baseball stadium and her date has got his hand like in the back of her neck and he's explaining.
Yeah.
He's like mansplaining to her. I feel like that's Rob Brown if you're watching soccer or wrestling with him. And somehow, Cole, I feel like as much as I don't want to go watch either one of these sports with Rob Brown, I'd rather go watch wrestling because at least I can see for myself, okay, dude's trying to pen other dude. Like there's not much nuance to this, right?
Not a lot of learning.
Like, I don't want to listen to you explain the nuance of a pile driver to me. I don't need that. So I could just tell him to shut up. You know? I can tell him to shut up and just ignore it and drink my beer. So if we're going to go watch something together, I'd rather it be wrestling because I feel like it'd be easier to ignore Rob with
Diesel goes wrestling.
One more to go. If you're on the fence, if you're scoring this thing, 1 for Diesel, 1 for Cole, this is going to be the deciding factor. Let's hit it with round 3.
Final round. Fight.
Game 7.
Ooh,
Stanley Cup Finals.
let's go.
Who wins tonight? The game is in Florida. Oilers on the road.
You know what's wild? This has only happened one other time ever in NHL history. Diesel, it's not going to happen tonight. The Panthers
Really?
are not going to lose again for the 4th time. The Florida Panthers at home. Yeah, they've almost let this one slip away, but the Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup tonight at home, Game 7.
Are you high? Have you seen the amount of points and the goals that the Oilers are putting in the back of the net these last 3 games? Sure, the Panthers got out to a lead when they were playing their first 2 games at home. It helps, right? Home ice advantage helps. But starting with game number 4, the Oilers put up 8 goals in game 4, 5 goals in game 5, 5 goals in game 6. They are white hot shooting the puck right now. Oilers are winning this one, man. Oilers are coming back from down 3-0 to win the Stanley Cup Finals, and we are going to get our second helping of Oilers Kate. I guarantee you it'll be out there somewhere.
That's why you're pulling for it.
There you go. That is the 5 o'clock fight. Who wins? You tell us by texting in 71307. Start your text with keyword fan or hitting us up in the comment section on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. And if you want to suggest a 5 o'clock fight topic, here's how.
What do you want Diesel and Cole Bryson to fight about next?
If you've got an ass, I'll kick it.
Submit your topics to Diesel at thefanupstate.com. Subject line fight on the Fan Upstate.
Madcraft says, poor Rob taking all the shots. No, Matt, it would be me taking all the shots, trying to numb the fact that I'm watching wrestling with Rob Brown. I don't want to limp away from this, okay?
So because I chose to, because I chose to go watch soccer, I believe you're due for a wrestling trip. What is with those Friday night things? They used to comment in our, remember that Friday night wrestling thing? I believe it was Trey telling us about it. They used to comment in our chat.
Oh, well, we had a lot of
Friday night
texters who were trying to get us to come to these things, and
Trey
they would
was.
get mad about it when we would say wrestling's not a sport. Who was it that used to hit us up and say, I'll pay for your ring fees if you try to tell me that wrestling's not a sport?
It's crap.
We'll think of it here in a second.
I hadn't heard from him in a
Who was
while.
that? Yeah, who was that?
It's been a few weeks.
Let's see. Okay, we'll think about it here in just a second. We actually have some of his drops on our button bar page over there. We got a couple of his drops up there. Mongo. Yeah, Mongo. Let's see. Would I rather go watch wrestling with Mongo or Rob? Mongo. I'd rather go watch wrestling with Mongo.
Come on.
And I'm a friend of Rob Brown's, but I don't want to hear him talking about wrestling. Let's see. On the stream, Mad Craft says Diesel wins round 1. Coles wins round 1, says Spur Daddy. JD says 1-1 going into round 3. Elimination, winner takes all. And scrolling down, JD gives Diesel the win. Game 7s have been won by the visiting team the last 3 times. Fantastic bit of insight there, JD.
All roads come to an end, JD.
Yep.
Not happening tonight, buddy.
Spur Daddy says Diesel wins round 2. And Spur Daddy says Diesel wins round 3. So there's 2 Tolos who are voting for me.
They're drunk.
Madcraft says, so Diesel sweeps on the stream. Well, Madcraft, he didn't give me the undefeated victory. Not the, he still has you winning round 3.
Yeah.
But he has me winning rounds 1 and 2. So I do have a clean sweep on the stream.
Well, it doesn't get any better on the text line.
Ouch.
464 says Diesel clean sweep. I'm getting up and off the plane. Zipper method as well. I'll give my pinky toe to watch wrestling and Oilers tonight. Trey
so
in
this
Kentucky.
texter wants to go watch wrestling with Rob.
Maybe.
He'll let you.
Trey in Kentucky says round 1 push. Trey, we don't do pushes. Round 2 Diesel. Round 3 Cole.
Blackjack?
I know, really. 884 says Cole rounds 1, 2, and 3.
What?
Bo.
Bo.
Thank you, Bo.
How dare you, Bo?
Finally. You know what? Bo's been pretty clutch lately. I have to give it to Bo.
That was
been
a sympathy
siding with
vote from Bo.
And I don't think I know Bo. Do you know? See what I did? I don't think I know Bo, but so you can't tell me it's any kind of personal vendetta, Diesel. Don't come up with an excuse. Alex, Cole with a sweep. There's 2 sweeps in a row. Alan B says round 1 Cole, round 2 Diesel, round 3 Diesel.
We need Trey from Kentucky to come through with an actual win, with an actual round 1 vote. Trey from Kentucky, he says push.
Yeah.
There is no push. You either get up or you don't when the fasten seatbelt light comes off.
Alan B says Lord Stanley Cups. I mean Stanley Cup going back to Oil Town. Bullwinkle wants to go watch wrestling with Rob Brown. That's who, Diesel. So Bullwinkle wants to go with old Roberto to watch the wrestling.
Go ahead, man. I'm sure you two are going to have a great time in somebody's basement.
You know what, though? Those wrestling on those local wrestling productions, they get kind of
Well, I
don't know what the right word is.
I see all kinds of wrestling on social media, and for some reason, I don't know what you call this. I'm seeing so many videos of the people who just break who break light bulbs on each other. You know, the big, like, long tube light bulbs.
Yeah.
Where they're just
lightsabers.
like smashing these things. They're just smashing light bulbs on each other. Tell me, what the hell is that? What the hell is that? That's some weird, like, fetish thing where you want to see people get cut up. I understand that they're like, it's not very strong glass. Like, you're not hitting somebody with a beer bottle. No, I don't think it hurts. I mean, you can get little micro cuts and things like that. You may need a Band-Aid after you're done.
I don't know, man.
But, like, somebody explained that kind of wrestling to me. I don't get it.
JC says, only heard rounds 2 and 3, but Diesel wins rounds 2 and 3. Joey says, I'll go watch some wrestling with Rob. Do we have wrestling fans? I mean, is this what we've come to? Trey in Kentucky, by the way, Diesel, to answer your round 1 push. He says, you basically agreed on the round 1 fight.
No, Cole stays seated. I stand up.
I stay seated, Trey. We both agree that it's better to get on last if you're getting on the plane, but getting off, I'll stay seated. Diesel jumps up. 71307. Look who's in the chat. I hadn't seen old DB in a while.
Yeah. Says mercury powder exposure in doing that sounds like Tide Pods all over again.
True, though.
DB, do you know what I'm talking about? Cole, do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen these videos?
Big long, well, I know what kind of light bulbs. The long, like
fluorescent
lights.
Yeah, fluorescent light bulbs. But that's like a style of wrestling where they just, I mean, it'll be like, a guy will have 4 of them in his hands and he's just like smack. They don't even hit him hard with it.
Hunt GPT says, Diesel, the light tubes that you are talking about is deathmatch wrestling. It's pretty violent.
So stupid.
Well, it's dumb. I mean, any type of violence. I mean, I don't understand it at all. But oh, by the way, I said, where's DB been? DB, he's probably been watching those people fight to get off the planes, right?
Yeah, well, he keeps the door shut until it's until everybody gets off the plane.
He said, yeah, now if they are LED strips inside, then no mercury, I suppose. Either way, whether it's LED or mercury, I mean, who thinks of these things? Oh, it's a good idea to
so
just
wasteful.
Bust a light tube over somebody's back.
You know, you're busting 20, 30 light bulbs.
It's entertainment, though, right? I mean, that's what we do, right? It's all about that entertainment. And those light bulbs, I don't know what they do with these local wrestling events. I mean,
are we that desensitized in this country that we need violent wrestling, this deathmatch wrestling? Like, where are we? Where are we as people, right?
Does that surprise you, though?
These are people that never go outside, that watch this stuff. They never, ever go outside. All they do is play video games and curse at 12-year-olds online. That's all you do with your lives. Who are these people?
Dang, Diesel?
Yeah.
Tell us how you really
scumbags.
Now there goes 3 listeners. Sorry, Joey. Just kidding. We're kidding. I would try it though. I would. I'd go watch it one time. I don't know if I'd go back. I don't mean actually trying the fluorescent light.
Yeah,
tubes.
I feel like if I was drinking and watching soccer with Rob, I might find myself getting into it. So I think it'd just be easier to get blackout drunk and ignore wrestling.
The wrestling.
Yeah.
You might, if you do that, you might become part of the act, you know? I mean, seriously. 71307 is the way you can text the show. Start your text with the word fan or 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, anywhere in the world on the free Odyssey app. We are going back to the College World Series in a few moments from now. But before we do that, Diesel, quick programming note. I am trying to find it this Wednesday. We will be at Ingles. I am searching for the address. Is it at the run sheet, or do we need to look it up?
We need to look it up. Stand by. I'll have it for you here momentarily.
We'll see who can get to it first. I'm going to look on my calendar. Go Wednesday.
10903 Anderson Road in Piedmont.
There you go. I think that's the first one we were at. Anderson Road, again, 10903 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Diesel and I will be there on Wednesday. So if you are in the Piedmont area, come on out. Come by and say hi, as we like to say, right, on the
Stop
promos.
By and say hi.
Stop by and say hi. Also, programming piece, this will sneak up on us. But do you know, Diesel, that we are now less than a month away? We will be, you and I will be, at ACC Media Days. We have yet to break that news right here on Wire to Wire. But ACC Media Days, let's see, that is toward the end of July 22nd and 24th. You and I will be in Charlotte, in the Queen City, if you will, for ACC Media Days. So we'll have ACC coaches on during that time and get you ready for some ACC football, because that's what everybody loves, right? ACC football. All right, coming up next, college baseball national championship tonight. Who's Diesel picking? Who am I picking? And who are you, the Tolos, picking tonight? Texas A&M or Tennessee? Get your text in, 71307. Go ahead and start texting away with those little fingers. Also, we're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. What is DB inviting us to on the stream? If you're not a part of the stream, you need to hop in sometime. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube every single day. DB says, but who is in for Chicago Street Race Barbecue in 2 weeks after the 4th? All Tolos are invited.
I've been to one of these famous Danby Tolo parties.
What is it? Where is this at?
His house.
Oh, okay. He's inviting. I didn't know if that was a restaurant.
It's up there close to you, actually.
Oh,
it's up just on the outskirts of Greer. Greer.
Well, I'm not Greer.
I know, but it's in your direction.
Closer than Powdersville.
Yeah.
How about that, DB? Opening up those Tolo invites. And by the way, if you said, what's Tolo? That stands for turn it on, leave it on. That's what you are, the listeners of this very show. I said before the break, get your predictions, your picks in now. Stream. I see you in there typing away. Get them in, 71307 on the text line. If you want to call, phone lines are open right now as well. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. It's the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas Fan Phone. Diesel, let's just start off with a bang here. Let's not just dance around it. Let's start off with a bang. Tennessee A&M tonight, Game 3, National freaking Championship. Who we taking?
I'm taking Texas A&M, even with their weird Texas Aggies uniforms, which, hey, they wore those unis to curb stomp Tennessee in Game 1. They better put those unis back on for Game 3.
Ooh, you think there's a little
mojo
there?
Yeah,
maybe so. Wear them if you win in them. You know what? Not to get off on a rabbit trail. Do you believe that baseball? Like, I know a lot of people think there's this. I don't want to call it conspiracy, but you know, baseball is a weird sport where people think if you won one day and you had your socks that way, you have to keep them that way.
Oh, when I played high school ball. That's as far as I got. Yeah, definitely. If you won, you didn't wash your socks for the next game.
And then the whole thing about people say, well, you can't say it's a no-hitter because if you say it, it's jinxing it, and then somebody will get a hit and the no-hitter. I don't buy that.
It's funny. Man. People only remember the times that worked, right?
Not when it didn't.
Like nobody's doing the empirical research, catching the data, and saying things like, okay, over the course of my baseball playing career, from Little League all the way up to whenever you quit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody is going back and tracking, okay, I messed up and said, we got a no-hitter going.
Yeah.
And then later that game, somebody threw a hit, right? Or nobody has ever gone back and tracked, these superstitions. Because in reality, they don't mean anything. They don't work. They don't do anything.
Tiger Powell Rachel says, can both Tennessee and A&M lose tonight?
Nope.
I like it, though. Good try.
Tiger Powell Rachel, what's your beef on this?
Well, I think she's a tiger. A tiger. Not a tiger.
I understand that, but like, shouldn't you should, I guess, root for Texas A&M because Tennessee is on the East Coast at least, and
knocked you out last year.
They knocked you, yeah, and they
that's a good question.
Could be competing against them for recruits, possibly.
That's a good question. South Carolina Gamecock fans, right now, Gamecock fans, who should you be rooting for? Clemson fans, who should you be rooting for tonight? Or is there even a way to lean here? Do you even care? What's Matt Kraft? I came home from work, showered, and then put on the exact same clothes every day, down the watch and the hat I put on. We won the World Series. Here we go.
He's a superstitious guy.
More superstition. Man, y'all.
Did you at least wash those clothes?
No, probably not.
Madcraft, or did you? I mean, hey, if you only wore it to watch a game, and you're sitting on your couch in an air-conditioned room, mm-hmm. and you're not sweating in your clothes. I mean, it's not that gross.
No, not bad. Air conditioning helps, right? A little AC helps. All right, the numbers tonight. Tennessee versus Texas A&M money line. The Volunteers, according to Las Vegas, Diesel, the Volunteers are favored. I don't want to say pretty heavily, but they are favored. Minus 260, Texas A&M plus 196.
So they're basically saying game 1 was a fluke for A&M.
I mean, 260.
The
260 is a little bit too expensive for me to bet on Tennessee money line.
The odds were a lot closer. Game one, both of them were in the mid 150s, 140s, 150s.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think that pitching, man, for Tennessee is what has Vegas. All right, let's go on me let's go on my book. Let's look right now, Diesel. If you were to go to college baseball tonight, Tennessee A&M plus, oh man, my book's all the way. I don't know if the lines changed. Mine's at A&M plus 212, which is a terrific bet. So if you were to put $25 on A&M at plus 212, you risk 25 to win 53, which is a good bet, right? You're only risking a little bit. If you only put 10 on A&M to win tonight, you're going to win 21. So plus money with A&M tonight, if you feel like the Aggies are going to win, that's the way to go there. The problem is my book has Tennessee minus 257. Diesel, which is way too expensive. You'd have to risk $64 to win $25. That's a little bit outrageous.
Yeah, but people will do it.
They will, but Tennessee, for whatever reason, Vegas has continued to trend towards.
Are you the type
Tennessee.
of guy, Cole, who will put a little bit of money on both sides of a game?
Not unless the game. The only way I'll do that is, let's say, for example, let's say I put money on Tennessee tonight before the game starts. If A&M were to take a big lead, I would then go live bet A&M just to try to win some of that money back. See what I'm saying? Kind of hedge it. They call it a hedge in gambling. The over-under. Let's look at that for a second.
But then they just got you to gamble even more money.
Sure, right. I mean, that's the whole point, right? The over-under is 10.5. Do we feel comfortable taking the over? I mean, if you want 11 runs scored, you're looking at, what, a 6-5? I mean,
I would take the over on that.
You would take?
I would take the over, yeah. I don't see this being like a 15, 16, 17 run game, but I could certainly see this being like a 6-5 game.
AJ from the 803 says, hey, I'm a Gamecocks fan. Nothing sucks like the whole state of Tennessee. The whole state of Tennessee, says AJ.
AJ, this sounds like, to a tune of a song. We need your help. What tune is that to?
Oh, I think I know what it is. I found the song.
Oh, you gotta give him that hawk tune.
Oh, is that the song? Wrong song? AJ? I mean, come on, man. Is it the Tennessee have to do with the Hawk Tua hate? Is that what it is? Because that was in Nashville, right? So
she is a national treasure, and all of you
don't talk trash about her.
Don't talk trash about Hawk Tua. I'm gonna tell you, any woman can be Hawk Tua if she really wanted to.
Oh, you're so right.
Yeah, she represents all of you.
All right, A&M run line Tennessee tonight. Tennessee is favored by a run and a half. That is minus 140. Diesel, Tennessee's 182 home runs is the second most in the NCAA history.
According to JD, he's dropping some knowledge on us. I didn't know this.
What do you say?
He says Hawk Tua got fired from her job.
Oh,
what was her job? I did see that she was exposed. Like her name was out there on social today. People didn't take long. People figured out who she was.
This is what happens when I make a Hawk Tua reference. We just go down a rabbit hole and we'll spend 45 minutes. What her job was? Now I'm curious. I mean,
yeah, what was her job? She must have had some form of a classy job. She was a preschool teacher.
Oh.
Is this right? This is what Mad Craft says. A preschool
JD
teacher
says
and a student saw her on YouTube. Like this seems like it was one of those on the street interviews.
It was.
You see all these videos, regularly popping up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
I don't know. Preschool teacher, yeah. I mean, it's tough, but you probably
shouldn't have done that.
No.
But I guarantee you she's gotten a lot of offers since then, right?
All right. This
Start a
is
GoFundMe for Hawk Tua.
Diesel, this is why you should back Tennessee tonight, okay? And I'll also give you the A&M side as well. They're talking about Sechrist. They say he's been outstanding for Tennessee all season, has 4 quality starts in the last 5 outings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, 2 walks across 6.5 innings, and the 7-2 win over Florida State earlier in the College World Series. Also threw a career-best 6.1 shutout innings against Evansville to clinch Tennessee's spot in the College World Series. striking out 6 batters while just walking 1 batter. They also say the insiders say that Sechrist is backed by the most dominant lineup in college baseball. The bats coming alive late in Game 2 to spoil A&M's chances of winning the title. Tennessee's forced to Game 3 despite stars Christian Moore, Blake Burke, and Billy Amick going a combined 7 of 25, Diesel, at the top of the order. Listen to that. Tennessee's top of the order has gone 7 and 25. Are you kidding me? That's terrible.
Yeah, we had where did it go? One of the guys that hit a home run for Tennessee on Sunday, he was 0 for 16 before that 2-run home run. Now, it's not a game winner, but it certainly helped put that one away. It was a 2-1 game at the time. It was Cal Stark.
So the Vols offense, as good as it was all postseason, has not been that good in the College World Series. Here is why you should back A&M tonight. The Vols, Diesel, you're going A&M?
I am.
The Vols might be the top seed, but A&M's has perhaps Texas A&M has perhaps the most impressive team overall in Omaha thus far. The Aggies dominated Game 1. This is CBS Sports, where I'm getting this off of the series, and then led the Vols into the 7th inning on Sunday before a couple of 2-run homers, obviously allowed Tennessee to take the win. The Aggies have been elite in run prevention in Omaha, giving up just 12 runs in 5 contests. Lampkin's season-long numbers aren't as impressive as his counterparts tonight, but he does enter this matchup tonight red hot, holding Florida scoreless. Remember, just a few days ago, over 8 innings and 2 appearances against the Gators. The Aggies also have multiple high-leverage relievers available for tonight's matchup, including Evan Aschenbeck, who has been exceptional with a 0.84 whip this season. So basically, the experts, these are saying, look, this is strength on strength here, right? Tennessee has the bats, but A&M has the depth in the bullpen.
Watch this be a pitching duel. Everybody thinks that we're
2
going
to
to see
1.
a lot of we're going to see a lot of runs in this game. We're going to see fireworks. We're going to see home runs, and so far in these games, 2 games they've hit 7 home runs combined in 2 games.
Yep,
which is just offensive firepower all over the field, all over these lineups. So we're expecting a lot of runs in this game. Watch it be a low-scoring pitching duel.
Here's the deal, though, with that. If we're going to talk about this tomorrow and people are going to be excited about it, Diesel, we got to have runs. We got to have fireworks, man. People like fireworks. Offense, defense may win the championships. The pitching may win the championships. But what do they say? Offense sells tickets. Nobody wants to watch a 2-1 pitching duel tonight. We're going to have to come in here tomorrow and act like we were excited about a 2-1 game. And, oh, what a great game it was. It was just really good pitching the whole night.
Pitching duels suck.
They suck.
They suck.
I'm glad we see eye to eye on that.
They suck.
I mean, you and I, Diesel, acknowledge that the pitchers are phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
But we don't watch games to see defense and just really
That's why we need
good.
aluminum bats in Major League Baseball.
Oh, God.
Yeah, move the wall back 25 feet.
Braves 35, Cardinals 28.
I mean, you could deaden the bat, right? Make them swing fungos.
God. You talking about epic? That would be that velocity with metal bats. That would be bad.
I want to see major leaguers play wiffle ball.
I thought, or is that the celebrities that do that?
There is pro wiffle ball.
Is it really?
And the pitches are just absolutely insane, unhittable pitches.
Oh, I've seen some of those knuckleballs.
They really move all over the place.
Yeah, you can't do anything with that. You know, wiffle ball is probably, don't record me saying this, but wiffle ball might be more challenging than hitting a regular baseball, right? Because,
especially when you got a pro throwing the wiffle ball.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, there's no velocity. It's just kind of.
You know who Mark Rober is? He's a YouTuber, former NASA engineer, and he's famous for making like the world's largest elephant toothpaste, just like a chemical reaction that makes a big foamy splash.
No, but I'll look it up.
He was famous for doing the Porch Pirate packages. Like you steal a package and there's all these cameras in it and fart spray and lights that flash, and they track the package and they track down the porch. Anyway, Mark Rober is definitely a guy you should follow. He tested out making a truly unhittable wiffle ball, and the only way he could do it is he engineered a wiffle ball that at an exact distance from the plate it would split in half.
Oh, dear Lord. That's just brutal.
Yeah.
The actual ball would split, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. The ball was designed to break apart before it got to the
That's
plate.
nuts. That's nuts. I don't think that'd be. I don't like the wiffle balls because they just don't have any consistency to them. They're harder to hit than people realize.
It's tough, man, when you can get that kind of movement on a wiffle ball. You know, sometimes you just got to hawk to a spit on that thing and it gives you a little extra
spit on it. That's right.
When we come back, Cole, it's time for you and I to take a look at our daily wires, take a look around the sports world, see what's happening out there, and get you caught up on some of the stories that we didn't have time to give a full 15 minutes to. That's coming up next here on the Fan Upstate. A lot to get to around the sports world. So much happening out there. We call this segment, Cole, our Daily Wires.
Bzz, bzz. Once again, didn't turn
That's
my
twice.
microphone on today. I'm fired. Bzz. Bzz, 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 bzz.
It's a whispering
That one
bee.
faded out.
It's a whispering bee. Texas A&M defeated Tennessee on Saturday 9-5. Tennessee defeated A&M yesterday 4-1. Force game 3. That is tonight at 7:00. One game to rule them all.
Let's go.
Game 3 of the College World Series tonight at 7:00. Scotty Scheffler won again. He is the world number 1 golfer. He beat Tom Kim in a playoff on Sunday at the Travelers Championship. There was a protest on the 18th green in the playoff, Cole, that turned kind of ugly. 5 protesters ran out onto the green. They had popped like some sort of paint spray or smoke bombs or something. They were all tackled.
Yeah, but they got their message across, and everybody now in America believes in climate control or whatever
Climate change.
Sorry, climate change.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. How many people rushed to their website and said, "Let me donate money to you because you all got arrested"? Stupid. The Atlanta Braves took 2 out of 3 against the Yankees this past weekend. 8-1 on Friday. 8-3 loss on Saturday, and a 3-1 win on Sunday. They are now 43-32 on the season. Things seem to be looking up for the old Bravos. They're in St. Louis tonight at 7:45, a 3-game series against St. Louis, the Cardinals. Spencer Schwellenbach is on the mound. They are 7 games back in the NL East. Another final game of the season for another sport tonight, Game 7 of the NHL Finals tonight at 8:00 in Florida. Edmonton won Game 6, 5-1 over Florida. Edmonton is just shooting the puck lights out. 8 goals in Game 4, 5 in Game 5, and 5 games in Game 6.
Helps when you have the best player in the world on the planet.
Yeah,
McDavid.
Yeah, and that Game 5, there was an empty netter at the very end of that game, of course. Let's see. Christopher Bell won at New Hampshire last night for the 3rd win of the season for him. You've got some fantastic audio from Kyle Larson and his back and forth. Was this with his crew chief or with his spotter?
This was with his crew chief, I believe, as I'm trying to effort the audio. Oh, that's not it. I had the audio. I don't anymore. I'll have it next hour.
Yes, something about his crew chief said he passed you because you let him pass you. You do this all the time. And Kyle Larson said something like, "Bleep you, man," or something to that effect. Look, I think we'd all be shocked, Cole, if we heard what goes on the radio between a lot of these drivers and their crew chiefs. Now, It's always been different because drivers in NASCAR, like you can always scan the radio frequencies. Anybody could be listening to you at any given time. You have no idea who might be listening to you. So a lot of them, they probably have some training of some sort to keep it clean on the radio, but Kyle Larson let it boil over. ESPN has released its latest mock draft for the NBA draft. As of right now, it's expected that Atlanta, with the first pick, will go to France and take Zachary Richard. I think that's how you say his name. The Wizards, with the second pick, are expected to go to Australia and take Alex Sarr. And then the Rockets will take the first American off the board at number 3, Reed Shepherd out of Kentucky. What is happening to American basketball, Cole, if 2 of the top 3 picks are international players?
Well, 5 of the best players in the NBA are international players,
That's true. That's true. What's going on with this country? What's going on with our players? Why are we not winning in the draft? It all matters. And finally, Cole, the last Daily Wire for today, AJ Mentor has been moved to AAA Gwinnett to finish off his rehab. He tossed 1 inning with 3 strikeouts Saturday at Rome, the Braves' high A affiliate.
844 fan phones. The way you can get in touch with the show is the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. Brad wants to weigh in on the Braves. What's up, Brad?
What's up, guys? So I figured out the Braves' problem, and it's simple because we're 8-2 in the last 10, something like that. So essentially, I just need to stay on vacation until the end of the World Series, because when I'm on vacation, the Braves win. and that's all that matters.
Can we get some Tolos to sponsor Brad's perma vacation?
I am all for that. You guys can join me. They can sponsor the three of us, and then they'll just keep winning. But that's the main thing. Also, the protesters with the golf tournament, guys, we're overlooking this. It was Panthers fans protesting because Scotty Scheffler has more wins since January of 2022 than the entire Panthers franchise does. So that's what the protesters were. The win total there is 12-9. Okay. Obviously, Scotty is the 12 and the Panthers are the 9 because I know math is hard for Panthers fans. Now, the other thing about the baseball game tonight, it's simple. Dolly Parton's going to be singing Rocky Top from the Smoky Mountains, okay? It is going to be a great baseball game, but I think Tennessee comes out on top. Just the way they won that game yesterday just seems like it's just going to be a ball of momentum just waiting to burst. And I hope it's not, just an onslaught. I could see that happening because it's been a great series, and I'm hoping, like we all are, for a great baseball game. But I really do think Tennessee will ultimately come out on top. And for the Stanley Cup, I mean, how can you not be pulling for the Warriors or the Oilers at this point? I mean, they were down 3-0. You want to see them finish it off. So that's where I think that goes to. But a great night for sports.
That's right.
I hope y'all have a great night.
Thank you, Brad, for the phone
Brad.
call. And I hate to tell you, Tolos, but Brad has the crown for the day with his protesters being Carolina Panthers fans.
So Brad there though, Cole. Brad said that Dolly Parton was going to be singing Rocky Top from the Smoky Mountains. I do wonder, on the other side of this rivalry here, on the other side of this national championship game, is Willie Nelson going to be singing a song from a Smoky tour bus somewhere? Because Willie Nelson is from Abbott, Texas, about 100 miles away from College Station. I don't know Willie's fandom. I don't know that he's ever worn his fandom on a sleeve like that. But
Willie versus Dolly. I like it, though. Who is going to prevail? I don't know, man. I can't get over the Panthers and Scotty. That statistic, we'll have to fact check. That's embarrassing. Scotty has more wins than the Panthers in the last, 2 years? Is that what he said? Is that right?
Sad.
Unbelievable. All right. Coming up in the very next segment, we take a look around Major League Baseball. We talked about the Braves, but who else should you be worried about? We'll find out next. Final hour of the Monday edition of Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. This is the Fan Upstate. However you're listening or watching, we appreciate you doing so. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. All right, the MLB season, Diesel. You know, you blink, and all of a sudden, we are now almost in July. We're almost to the All-Star game. The All-Star game is in July, and then before you know it, all we'll be doing is thinking about football coming up in August.
Yeah.
And, we'll blink, and then
You act like we're not doing that already.
Well, we are. But listen, what's going to happen is we're going to forget just how fast this back half goes by, and we're going to look up, and it's going to be time for the MLB playoffs. So let's look around the league, okay? What storylines to you, the Tolos, has been the most interesting to follow? I'll tell you this. For me, it's been Paul Skeens, a guy that has just ripped the velocity out of every single pitch that he throws. He's been a really fun story to watch in 2024. We talk a lot about the Braves, but some notes, some look-arounds, if you will, on what else is happening in the MLB. What's interesting is, Diesel, I have the first thing that I have pulled up is a top 10 for American League MVP as well as a top 10 for National League MVP. As we're about the halfway point through the MLB season, and the NL MVP top 10 votes, if you will, how many Atlanta Braves do you think are in the top 10?
Top 10 NL MVP votes. I'm going to guess and say 1.
You would be, if you said 1, you would be correct. 1 Atlanta Brave. That Atlanta Brave, can you go 2 for 2 there and say who it is?
I'm going to guess that it's Ozuna.
You're 2 for 2. The 1 Brave on the list is Marcell Ozuna. So looking at the National League, and stop me if you have a problem with any of these, but Shohei Ohtani, Los Angeles Dodger, number 1. No surprise there, right? Best player in baseball, best pitcher in baseball. Nobody can do both like Ohtani can. Nobody can scapegoat like Ohtani can as well. So Ohtani, 1, Dodgers. Mookie Betts, 2, Dodgers. Dodgers are loaded. If you asked how many Dodgers are in the National League MVP top 10 votes, there would be 3. The third is, that's right, the ex-Atlanta Brave, Freddie Freeman at 6. Marte from the Diamondbacks is 3rd. Your Atlanta Brave, Marcell Ozuna, is 4th on the list, and Bryce Harper from the Phillies is 5th. Top 5 in the American League, Aaron Judge, Henderson from the Orioles, Juan Soto from the Yankees, Bobby Witt Jr. from the Royals, and Jaron Duran from the Red Sox. Best half-season pitcher. This should scare Braves fans, Diesel. Best half-season pitcher as of right now in the NL East, Philadelphia Philly, Ranger Suarez. So we all know that Paul Skeens is phenomenal, but Ranger Suarez has been the most consistent this season. AL Cy Young top 10. You mentioned Cy Young for the National League.
Yeah.
Let's look at the Cy Young MVP votes.
Speaking of which, by the way, there are 3 Phillies pitchers in the top 15 of odds.
God, that's ridiculous. That's not supposed
to win the Cy Young. They got 3 Cy Young quality, Cy Young caliber pitchers.
So in the top 10 votes, let's see how many Philadelphia Phillies are in the Cy Young. Obviously, Ranger Suarez, Zach Wheeler, only 2 in the votes. But Zach Wheeler, I mean, he's an ace for just about every team. You know what's fascinating is,
sorry, I told you there's 4. There's 4 Phillies pitchers in the top 20 of the NL Cy Young. Zach Wheeler, Ranger Suarez, Aaron Nola, and Christopher Sanchez.
What's crazy is, man, like, I hate to say this as a Braves fan, But if you look in the National League right now, Diesel, the Brewers are good. But right now, it's the Phillies and the Dodgers. I mean, it is. The Braves are coming on the scene. But the National League East, the Phillies are 7 games ahead of the Braves. The Braves are 43-32. Phillies are 51-26. The Dodgers are 48-31. Heck, the Phillies have a better record than the Dodgers right now. The Brewers, they're good every year, 45-33. I don't think they'll be in contention. I could be wrong, but I don't think a team from the Central will really make a run. The Brewers and Cardinals really don't impress me much. But Diesel, when you look at the National League, there could be, if Washington were to go on a heater, there could be 3 teams get in from the East. I doubt it. But the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Braves are the teams in the National League right now. It just depends where the Braves will finish. If they'll make a run for it and somehow win the division. I side with what you said earlier. And hey, wild card, not a bad finish. So whoever comes out of the National League, we know that the Yankees are the number 1 team. Right behind them is the Baltimore Orioles. The Guardians are really good, and Seattle's really good as Houston. Houston's right below 500. But right now, midway point through the season, Diesel, I hate to say this because they're in the Braves division. The Philadelphia Phillies look like the most dominant team in baseball. You mentioned their pitching. 4 of their pitchers in contention to win the Cy Young. So they're fantastic. They're fantastic right now.
The one good thing about this injury-prone season of the Atlanta Braves is that it has exposed their farm system and their prospects for not being what they thought it was. You remember, like, coming into this season, we kept hearing the Braves are absolutely loaded. They're loaded all up and down the rosters, AAA, AA, single A. They're loaded. Well, all it took was a couple of key injuries to expose the fact that you're not. So the Atlanta Braves now can take this information and say, well, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Waldrop kid's going to be okay. I think there's a lot of potential there for him. That's the hard part. Any MLB team can say that they have all these prospects, but until they actually get up into the major leagues,
you don't know.
I mean, I remember Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker for the Rangers. Both played at Vanderbilt. Both were part of that Vanderbilt dynasty in college baseball. And Jack Leiter got pulled up very early this season. And Jack Leiter, as quick as he got pulled up, he got sent right back down. Kumar Rocker, to my knowledge, hadn't been pulled up for Texas. Those were the 2 of the best draft picks ever. Both were played for Vandy. Really, really good. The most surprising team to me, though, Diesel, would be the Kansas City Royals. Royals, even though they've started to regress a little bit, they started off red hot. The trade deadline will be key for them. They lost 106 games last season. Kansas City has been in playoff position for virtually the entire season this year. Again, they're skidding a little bit, but they're the most surprising team to me. And then if I had to pick a disappointing team, I would look at Houston. Houston has way too much talent. And we talk about dynasties crashing all the time. I hate to say this, but it looks as if the Houston dynasty may be crashing. I mean, it really
You're not going to hear a lot of people crying over that.
No.
I don't know if you just, get real quiet. Do you hear any violins playing? Is anybody upset about that?
I don't think so. I don't know anybody other than the people who live in Houston, right? Who would be upset. Listen, we all know that the best team in baseball right now is the New York Yankees. But look, I did a sports spin, Diesel, to air tomorrow, and I talked about this. We mentioned this to open the show today. Baseball's a weird game, man. Like, you can be the best right now. The Dodgers have been the best many, many years. The Yankees, back in the day, the Yankees were the best. Heck, I hate to say this, but the Atlanta Braves, in the 90s, there was no better team than the Atlanta Braves. Only won 1 championship. The Dodgers have only won, 2? 1? I mean, not many in the last 10 years. I think it's 1. I have to look that up, by the way. So, again, as good as the Phillies are right now, the proof's in the pudding. The regular season doesn't matter. And, I hate to be that guy, but baseball, it doesn't matter. Madcraft on the stream asked Diesel, let me guess, Cole, you're wearing a Chipper Jones jersey. You're wrong, Matt. Do you know who it is? Have you looked?
No.
You want to guess?
I'm gonna guess and say that it is a. Oh,
DB says Dale Murphy. Do you think a jersey this new?
Is it a Matt Olson jersey?
It's not.
Oh,
It's not. Good guess though. I like Matt Olson. I really.
yeah. There's no number on the front in case anybody's wondering. There's no like small digit on the stomach portion. Oh man, it's not a Freddie Freeman jersey.
No, no.
Is he dead to you?
Oh, absolutely, he's dead.
Good.
Yeah,
Good for you.
Yeah. Madcraft finally got it right. It is Acuna. Thank you, Madcraft, for guessing. Yeah, look, I not to get on a tangent there. I know you and I have talked about it before, but a player that leaves your team in no way, shape, or form should be supported by the X fan base.
Right?
But
there were fans who
by
were
God,
crying
they were
when
crying
Freddie Freeman
when he came back, and it was just this big parade. Oh, enough of that crap, man. I'm so glad he's gone, man. You know what? He learned his lesson.
He could have stayed in Atlanta, been beloved when he was
go down
retiring.
as one of the best ever.
Go down as one of the best ever. He would be right up there, not quite at the Chipper Jones level, but honestly not far off.
Yeah,
and he threw it away.
You know what, though? You say not far off. Let him win one more, though. You win one more, and all of a sudden, who are you going to argue? I'm not saying Freddie would be better than Chipper because you're right. To a lot of Braves fans, there'll be nobody better.
Yeah.
But let Freddie have one more in Atlanta, and how many Braves can say, oh, well, they won 2 World Series? Not many. The Dodgers, by the way, I was asking earlier, you know as dominant, Diesel, as the Dodgers have been? I have it pulled up. The Dodgers won the World Series in 2020.
COVID year doesn't count.
COVID year. But other than that, for as good as the Dodgers have been for the past decade, it seems, just being so dominant year in and year out, Diesel, other than 2020, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the last World Series before that, you want to take a swing at this? This is unbelievable. You're not going to believe this. Before 2020,
it's in the 70s.
88.
88.
So, that just goes to show, man. They have the highest payroll in baseball year in and year out. They have the highest paid players, highest paid manager, Dave Roberts. They won it in 20. The Rangers won it last year. Astros 22, Braves 21. But before that, I'm going to double check to make sure I didn't say that right. I mean, that is nuts. Think about that. What does that tell you about baseball? What does that tell you about the regular season in the MLB?
It's a crapshoot.
I mean, that's embarrassing, man.
It's a crapshoot. You just never know.
Like, you would think that a sport where it really relies, it comes down to the pitching, right? You would think that'd be so important. But for them to have only won 1 since 1988 and consistently year in and year out have the highest payroll, that's ridiculous. By the way, Matt,
the wisdom obviously is that the highest payroll gives you the best chance to go out and win. The only problem is, Cole, it depends on how that's structured. And, you could have a guy like Ohtani who's making a tremendous amount of money. Now, obviously the Ohtani deal is different because he is much more backloaded than he is front loaded. So they were really smart. They knew full well. And they learned from his scenario there in Anaheim. They learned that we can't pay this guy all this money and then still win championships. Like, it just doesn't work that way. But we have to offer him a ton of money on the back end. So, I mean, maybe you would hope that some of these teams would figure this out, right? And they would learn.
You would think.
What are you guys here for? Are you here to win championships? Are you here to win? Like, show me an 8-year-old who picks up a baseball bat and a glove for the first time, who says, I want to play this game for the money. But nobody's doing that. They play the game because they want to win. Mm-hmm. And you just wish that more players would figure that out.
Texter from the 803 says, Dodgers wouldn't have won it in 2020 if it weren't for analytics. Benny Snell. Wait, wasn't Benny Snell a running back? Am I wrong on that? Benny Snell, are you texting in as Benny Snell? Are you the ex-running back Benny Snell that's texting in right now, texter? Or are you a different Benny Snell? Because Call me crazy. I thought there was a Detroit Lions running back that was Benny Snell. Surely that Benny Snell's not listening to Wire to Wire, right?
Madcraft said no violins for the Astros.
Yeah.
But I did hear a distant trash can. But
Good analogy, Madcraft. Also note, speaking of the Rangers who won it last year, Max Scherzer's been battling some injury. He did make his season debut for the Rangers yesterday, firing 5 scoreless innings on just 57 pitches against the Royals. Max Scherzer finished with 4 strikeouts, which tied him with Greg Maddux for 11th on the all-time list for strikeouts with 3,371 strikeouts, man. That's incredible. 11th on the list is Max Scherzer. So if the Rangers, who won it all last year and have one of the better managers in the world, Bruce Bochy, let them get hot again, right? Let them get hot at the wrong time. Texter says, 1988 is correct. Tommy Lasorda was the manager. Met him right after the World Series that year when I was 8 because we ran into him and his wife at the grocery store, says Joey. How about that? That's a cool story. At the grocery store. Texter says Blake Snell, autocorrect. Blake Snell is the texter. We appreciate that.
So I have an interesting question here, Cole, as we're coming to the end of this segment, and we're going to replay our interview from earlier in the show coming up next. But going into Game 7 of the NHL Finals tonight, is it un-American to root for the Oilers to win tonight and to take the Stanley Cup?
I'd say no, because, heck, in the Olympics, I don't even care how the USA does in the Olympics, and that might be un-American. I don't, man. So I can't sit here and say it's un-American. That'd be kind of hypocritical.
I mean, Miami doesn't really feel all that American either, right?
You don't like
I've only driven through Miami. I've never been to Miami. I've driven through it. The traffic friggin' sucks.
Miami's great. I love it.
It's awful traffic. Never been to South Beach, but I would go. I would go check it out. But
I will be pulling for Miami tonight.
You're going to be pulling
or for Florida, yeah.
Yeah,
for Florida. Nothing to do with the. I did hear something funny earlier that I think it was on Jim Rome. Somebody texted and said if Florida wins tonight, can Canada come and take all their geese back? I mean, they said that's a pretty good point.
I mean, they are protected. We've heard about that New Jersey town that was wanting to euthanize all their geese. If they're so plentiful, why can't we just go ahead and kill them now?
Cap them off, baby.
That would be nice.
Pop, pop.
When we come back, we're going to replay an interview that we had earlier in the show with Reggie Chapman Jr. He's a sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News in Atlanta. He covers the Hawks, the Falcons, the Braves, the Georgia Bulldogs, and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I wouldn't talk about the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. I'm sure he doesn't talk much about them at all. But we will chat with Reggie next. We're going to find out all what's going on with the Braves and how excited he is to see them turning it around. That's next here on the Fan Upstate.
to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
thefanupstate.com.
Leave your namby-pamby sports takes at the door. Call in if you're man enough.
844 fan phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
We talked a little Atlanta Braves earlier in the program, and we will be glad to circle back to them. Listen, if they're winning, we'll talk about them, right? If they're losing, we'll just poop on the Atlanta Braves like everybody else does, I guess. I guess that's how you do things now. Want to bring in Reggie Chapman Jr. He is a sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News in Atlanta, covers the Braves, Falcons, Hawks, you name it. Reggie, number one, good to have you on the show, man. Has been a while since we last talked, but I guess the second part of my introduction to you is if Reggie Chapman Jr. has to put a finger on what has been the key to success for the Braves as of late, what would it be?
I'll be honest, and first off, thanks for having me on. I think the difference is just they're starting games faster. And that feels to me, honestly, what their old bread and butter used to be. And naturally, when you've got Ronald Acuna Jr. leading off your lineup, that's instant offense. But of course, he's out. He's gone. ACL torn once again. He's out for the season. I think the big difference they've made is, one, I think the bats are starting to hit a little bit better, but I don't want to undersell the change that Brian Snitker made, putting Jared Kelenic at the top of this lineup. They are 8-2 over their last 10 with him at the top of the lineup. He's on a 10-game hitting streak. And since he's been moved to that spot on June 15th, I mean, he has been incredible in that spot. So, I don't know, Jared Kelenic starting off the offense there. Austin Riley seems to have really figured something out recently. And then Marcelo Zuna continues to rake like he has all season long. And it's starting to really come together. And thankfully for them, the pitching has kind of stood out as well.
Sports anchor and reporter for 11 Alive News in Atlanta, Reggie Chapman Jr. joins us here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Reggie, we had a texter hit us up with something earlier, and I haven't been able to confirm this. Maybe you can give us a little more info. He was mentioning a new Michael Harris injury that could possibly keep him out for an extended period of time. Now, I know he's obviously fought a lot of issues over the past couple of weeks, but can you give us any update on his condition?
No new updates, at least from what I heard. I know he's injured at the end of the day. And I know that this team definitely would like to have him back in center field because he's, just the bat obviously has been good. And he's been trying to get back on pace, but just defensively in center field, he makes a major, major difference. So I don't know, nothing different with the hamstring injury, at least from what I've heard. I'm definitely going to have to look into that now going into my shows later today. But yeah, Michael Harris, man, I mean, he's an incredible player. And I mean, to not have him in this lineup is just another loss. But thankfully for this Braves team, putting Kelenic at the top of the lineup has kind of helped things out a little bit.
Reggie, what's to say about the Atlanta Braves that despite injuries to Strider, Acuna Jr., Michael Harris, you name it, those aren't the only three this season. But this Braves team, they did go through a rough patch. They started the season well, and it seems like they're picking things up again. What's to say about the Braves team that they're still able to win so many games and look as formidable as a team as they have been?
Well, it just shows you that they're just incredibly talented. I mean, last season offensively was not a fluke in any way, shape, or form. Of course, Ronald Acuna Jr. had an all-time season that we've never seen in Major League Baseball history, but the rest of that lineup was insane. This year, it's really pretty much the same lineup with a couple of tweaks and changes, and it just wasn't working out for him this year. I mean, a lot of the hard hit ball rates are still really, really high. Balls just weren't landing, and it seems like things have changed over the last, couple of weeks here where the balls are just starting to land or get out of the yard and they're able to get on base and score some runs. I do think what has really kind of kept him in it, and it's two guys that we maybe didn't know how good they would be. Really three guys in the starting rotation. I mean, Max Fried, of course, he was going into a contract year this year. I'm sure at this point, Alex Anthopoulos probably hoped that he had probably signed him before now because he has been very, very good. Reynaldo Lopez, they didn't know how good he'd be as he was a reliever and now turn starter. He's been unbelievable. He's leading the majors in ERA. And then Chris Sale looks like he's the same Chris Sale as when he was incredible back with the Boston Red Sox. So, I mean, between those three guys in the starting rotation, that's really holding this team together. And as the bats are starting to figure it out now, it's starting to look really good.
Reggie Chapman Jr. joins us here on the Fan Upstate. I want to ask you about Reynaldo Lopez there. He is absolutely fantastic. 5-2 on the season, a 1.57 ERA, 76 strikeouts. He's arguably statistically better than Max Fried and Chris Sale. So why is he third on the list from the Atlanta Braves for the NL Cy Young Award? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
I'll be honest. I think it's probably just the dominance, I guess, of the other two guys. I mean, when you look at how Chris Sale has been pitching, he's up there with the leaders in the majors in strikeouts. And the same thing with Fried. I mean, he's just been unbelievable. Ronaldo, meanwhile, it's you're right. It's even in town, it feels like he's like a quiet. It's just quiet. I mean, when he was what was that game he had a couple weeks ago when he was pitching against Detroit? Major League Baseball tweeted out this graphic that said aces on the mound, and it was Reynaldo Lopez and his ERA, and then I can't remember who Detroit was pitching in that game. And I just thought it was super interesting because on a roster that you have a Max Fried, who is known as the ace, as the number one on this pitching rotation, and Chris Sale, who has been as good as possible. Reynaldo, just because of these two other guys being just bigger names, I think, are just getting more love. But Reynaldo has been absolutely been pitching like he's an ace, and I mean, he should find himself, hopefully, if he can get in, I mean, having him as an all-star would be pretty great.
Reggie Chapman joining us on the Fan Upstate. Reggie, we appreciate you hopping on with us to talk Atlanta Braves. This is a tough question, but in your opinion, should the Braves be shortstop shopping before the deadline?
I don't think so. I personally don't think so, mostly because, look, man, I still like Orlando Arcia. I think that, defensively he handles the job. And then the bat, look, I think people got confused when they saw how well he was hitting at times last year, and then at certain spots this year was on a little bit of a tear. Orlando Arcia was not in the lineup to hit the baseball. That's not really what got him into the majors. It's the strong arm, his defensive ability. That's what got him the starting job last year, when there was all these questions about who was going to be the starting shortstop for this team. So I don't know, man. Look, moving down the lineup, the rest of the bats, I mean, should be able to kind of hold him down from there. But I mean, at the end of the day, they do have a couple of guys in the farm system that could come up as well if it comes down to it. But I don't think you need to make a move there. That's not the Braves' biggest problem.
Reggie, have you seen any of these players clapping back against all of the negativity that they had heard during the slump, or have they pretty much kept that to the vest?
Look, it's nothing that they didn't know what's happening themselves, right? I think that the good thing about the Braves is that they're very they know what's going on. They realize themselves that they weren't playing well. I mean, it's not any more obvious than it was for them. They can go out and see all the different noise online, and like you said, people will come out and just talk a lot of mess about the Braves when they're not playing well, and they'll talk them up when they're playing really, really well, right? They know at the end of the day that it wasn't them just playing bad. Things just were not working out. And, maybe some changes need to be made, but really the lineup was the same. I think just guys needed to kind of lock back in. And so they haven't really been frustrated or felt like, oh, people were talking bad about us. They just felt like, okay, this is going to work out eventually. And now it finally is. And for that reason, they're just kind of continue to build on momentum, and they feel really good about their chances going forward.
Reggie, something we've talked about on this show, and it's kind of a fascinating story, but I want to get your thoughts on when it's all said and done for Marcell Ozuna. I don't know if he'll retire a Brave. I hope he does, but he's had issues off the field, and Braves fans have had their issues with Marcell. But what do you think Braves fans will remember Marcell as when he calls it a career?
I think they'll remember Marcell Ozuna as just another great hitter that was part of the Braves organization. I don't know. I don't think he's seen in the same regard as, Freddie Freeman, or, should even think about guys that came in just for that World Series run, whether it's Jock Peterson, where forever he'll be looked at as a legend here. Eddie Rosario, who had that incredible run in the NLCS, same thing. Jorge Soler, whenever he comes back to town, is looked at as a legend. Marcell, he's just looked at as a very good player that can hit. You know what I mean? I think that it's cool that, he's started to kind of come around with his, personality, and he's become more of a leader in this clubhouse as of late. But I think you're right. The stuff that he had done in the past, it doesn't lead fans out here to connect with him as much as maybe some of these other guys that may have come and gone. Dansby Swanson, whenever he comes back to town, people are still going to love forever. You know what I mean? I don't think that's going to be the case with Marcell, but I do think they're very appreciative of him right now keeping this team afloat, and now that the rest of this lineup is starting to catch up, it's helped.
Reggie, there's a 7-game road stretch ahead. Cardinals, White Sox, Pirates. None of those teams are particularly great. How many wins do you see out of the next 7?
Well, look, I think out of the next 7, you're probably going to get both of the Pirates aces at home, which is going to be, one, just fun for fans. I'm a big Paul Skeens guy. I went to LSU, so naturally I'm a little worried if you're a Braves fan, maybe you're worried about winning that one. But other than that, man, the Cardinals, they've been kind of middling, but they've been playing pretty well recently as well. Coming off of a series win against the Giants, and they played well this last weekend. The White Sox, you probably want to get that one. So I think over this next stretch here, if you can kind of come out and be, 4-3, 5-2, you probably feel pretty good about it. But I don't see them really sweeping through all this. The Pirates have some talent. It's really the pitching. They kind of got unlucky where they're going to see both of the Pirates aces, and then the Cardinals have been playing well as of late, and they're at home. But they should play well.
Hey, Reg, you have a little bit of a fun question for you. I know on your Twitter, by the way, you can follow him on Twitter at Reggie Chapman. That's CHATMAN. You cover the Hawks, the Falcons, the Braves, Georgia, and Georgia Tech, and it says more. So let's say that the past is the past. We have wiped the slate clean. You cannot think about the championships that have been won in recent years, but of the teams that Reggie Chapman Jr. covers, which will be holding up their prospective trophy first?
Ooh, okay. That's maybe set right now to get it done.
Yeah.
It's probably the Braves. Look, at the end of the day, the team is not that different from a couple of years ago where they won it all. They're missing some players. I think they're the best choice to get it done. I think the other teams in town, thankfully, are just on the right track. None of them are like an absolute train wreck disaster, right? Even if you're going down to the dream, they're still in playoff contention. The Falcons are in a much better place than they were even last year, where they had basically me out there playing quarterback. And then, of course, you talk about the Hawks. They're in a nice position this upcoming year where they're going to get the number 1 overall pick. I'm going out to the draft tomorrow. That's going to be great. All these teams have excitement around them, but none of them, other than maybe the Braves, are in a position to actually win a championship. I think that they'll be next. Georgia, that's true. Actually, Georgia's in the cut too, huh?
That's right. Can't forget about Kirby.
You know what? I think. Look, I'll probably still take the Braves. Just in the current standing, Georgia's gonna be very good. But I don't know, the first year of this college football playoff, and I think also the fact they've got a difficult schedule for I think the first time in a long time. They'd probably be my number 2.
Reggie, you said there that you're an LSU guy. I want to get your thoughts on the recent hire that the South Carolina Gamecocks made, hiring your former skipper, Paul Mainieri.
Incredible. You know what? That was a huge surprise to me and all of my buddies that used to cover that team and all the people that still cover the team now. Paul Mainieri, when he left LSU, I don't know, man. It felt like at the time, it just seemed like the game had kind of passed him by a little bit. He's just a little older. He's a little bit more old school as we were moving to more analytics based and everything like that. Paul's a great coach. He's a great guy. And I felt like, maybe things that kind of just passed him by a little bit and he just chose to retire. But you could tell he still had that drive and that energy to still want to coach. And so it's not really a surprise that he took a new job. It's a little weird that's going to be at South Carolina, but at the end of the day, he made a point, I think, in an interview recently where he said, I hope LSU fans aren't mad or angry with me. I just wanted another opportunity to coach. And I don't think that anybody would blame Paul for doing that because he's going to be loved here forever. And plus, I think also because in Baton Rouge forever, but also you got Jay Johnson out there leading the way for the Tigers. So either way, if Paul becomes a problem out there in South Carolina, it could be an issue long term, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to see him back on the coaching wagon again.
Reggie, great stuff as always, man. We appreciate you taking time to hop on with us, and let's do it again soon, man.
I would love to, man. Take me back.
Absolutely. That's Reggie Chapman Jr. You can follow him on Twitter at Reggie Chapman. He covers the Braves, Hawks, Falcons. I can imagine covering that many schools, Georgia Tech, for 11 Alive News. Fantastic stuff there, by the way, by Reggie.
Covering most of those teams, Cole. If that was my beat, I would have Soros Yeah.
My bad.
Sure, it's a terrible look. Look, he last year said it's all about eliminating the distractions. It's all about reducing the BS. It's all about keeping all of the business outside of this building that doesn't need to get in outside of this building. And then what does he do? He misses the first practice. Oh, because I had something more important to go do.
What's more important, though?
I talked to the coach about it. I guess Robert Saleh didn't agree that it was worth an excused absence because it still went down as an unexcused absence. And I'll bet you Aaron was pissed. Probably pissed. What do you mean, coach? What do you mean you didn't excuse this absence? I'm Aaron Rodgers. I get to do what I want to because I feel like whatever. This guy sucks.
He does suck.
Aaron Rodgers flat out sucks.
And look, I've never been a Julian Edelman
What
fan.
a waste of talent. What a friggin' waste of talent he's been. Can't win in the playoffs. Goes somewhere new. Blows his knee out in the first game. I mean,
What a waste, Diesel says.
just retire, Aaron. Please retire so that we don't have to listen to your ass anymore. I mean, it is the trend now of good to great quarterbacks getting out of the game, going into broadcasting. No one's going to want Aaron Rodgers for that. No one.
No, I agree with that. Here's the audio. Edelman, 12-year vet with the Patriots. He was talking on the herd about Rodgers. Here's the audio for you to hear yourself. I like Edelman more because of this.
I've always had this belief.
So this is Cal Hurd asking Edelman about Rodgers, and I'm going to skip all that because I could care less about Cal Hurd. But here's Edelman.
You know, I know a lot of people do things differently, but God forbid the New York Jets start 1-3 in the beginning of the season, which they start with the Niners, Tennessee, Patriots. Who else? Last one? Someone else, regardless. And we all know that the Patriots are no good, but that defense is still the same defense. And that's who Aaron goes against. If they go 1-3, this is going to be such a big distraction for that locker room because everyone's going to be talking about this is New York City. You know, this media. It's a media capital of the world. And you can't tell me, you know, I'm a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but if I was in that locker room and Aaron Rodgers wasn't there for 3 days on the mandatory minicamps,
having played 4 snaps last year,
having played 4 snaps off of an injury when we have 2 new receivers, we got a bunch of new linemen that we added to the team with a CBA that doesn't allow us to practice a lot. You know, I guarantee there's 4 or 5 guys, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in that locker room sitting there like, where's he at?
Where's our star quarterback?
Where's he at? Now, you know, if they start 4-0, no one's going to care.
That's right.
But that's the NFL. I think it's a bad look for your leader, for whatever reason, to go and miss an unexcused absence. I mean, I was with Tom Brady in his 25th year or 23rd year, and he started missing OTAs here and there, but he was still there, never missed a mandatory minicamp. And, you know, I just thought it was a bad look.
You know what? He hit the nail on the head. If he goes 4-0, nobody's going to say a word.
Sure.
But let him. Can you imagine? I mean, I would love it because I'm not a Rodgers fan. But can you imagine the green? I almost at the Packers.
But he's not going to say he's going to say it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's my teammates' fault. It's their fault for not catching the ball. It's their fault for running. It's their fault for running too fast and me throwing the ball behind them. Don't you remember when he was still in Green Bay? So this would have been 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
When he said, something like, if guys can't catch the ball, then maybe we should give somebody else a chance to play.
Correct.
And then he goes and throws 3 red zone interceptions the very next week. Like Aaron Rodgers is that type of dude where nothing is ever his fault. He's never done anything wrong. It's everyone around him who can't get it together.
I've never been a fan by him.
He's a jackass.
Texter says, fan, what do you mean? Aaron can go back to Jeopardy. Fat Paid says, Aaron is easily the most hateable athlete of all time, not to mention overrated. 1 Super Bowl has taken him to the Hall of Fame. Fat Paid, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I mean, I agree. He's a great quarterback. But the Diesel's point, he doesn't win the playoffs.
He had a chance to be a great quarterback, but he's not.
Let me ask you a question.
He wasn't.
And this is fascinating. This could be an entire segment tomorrow or later in the year. what could he have to do on his back end? Would it have to be him winning a Super Bowl for him to be considered a Hall of Famer in your or an all-time great? It's a great question.
I mean, hey, there are plenty of players who have won a lot who I didn't like.
Yeah.
And you can't deny somebody's accomplishments on the field. Like
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person who would deny somebody winning a Super Bowl and say, well, he's not that good. I'm not that much of a hater. So I mean, yeah, I guess he would have to go win a Super Bowl in New York, one of the toughest places to go and win a Super Bowl.
It's true.
I don't think he's got it in him. He's
so
gonna
fascinating.
He seems like the kind of guy who would retire like after week 4. He gets hurt again, he's going to retire after week 4. I really believe that. Hey, you Tolos, you turn it on, you left it on the entire show. Madcraft, you've been here all along. We thank you, pal, for being here. We'll do it again tomorrow. And then don't forget, Wednesday, we're going to be at 10903 Anderson Road in Piedmont, live at Ingalls.